It's night 2 of our Breeders' Crown coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Live from Paris Hoosier Park, we have the older horses in the spotlight tonight after the 2-year-olds took center stage last night. Continuing on with the Breeders' Crown coverage tonight. 8 Breeders' Crown races on the program. We'll be bringing you 7 of them. One just took place. I'm your host, Acacia Kamana, and really looking forward to having a chance to talk about some of the big stars of harness racing that will be in the spotlight this evening, as we'll take a look at what the lineup is for tonight's Breeders' Crown races. As mentioned, still 7 to cover, and here's a look. Some big purses on the line as well. Some big names to look forward to, and really excited to talk about all of these great races. Happy to welcome in Paul Verderosa here with me. And Paul, as mentioned, some of the biggest stars in the sport of harness racing. Of course, a lot of eyes on Confederate, looking for that elusive Breeders' Crown victory.
Yeah, it should be a great night of action top to bottom. Confederate is the star. He is the main attraction of the night, looking to cap off a brilliant year. But you know what? There's a lot of other superstars getting ready to put their little shoes on and get out there and get moving and win themselves a crown.
Speaking of Confederate, I mean, he's just been tremendous lately. The #1 rated horse in North America. Here he is training in preparation, and as a 3-year-old, he's been sensational. Coming in, he's 11 for 12 in 2023, and we'll look for that Breeders' Crown win for trainer Brett Pelling.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind too, Acacia, just to show you how good this horse is, he's won his last 2 races while dealing with a laceration on his knee, too. So tonight, as you see here in his elimination, he made things look very easily. And tonight, he's going to get his knee boots back on. So for those of you who don't know what they are, they're little boots that they fit them on with a top strap that sits just above the knee and loosely below the knee with a second strap. It's just meant to protect them from trauma, protect them from banging into themselves again and causing more damage. And here in the Elim, you could see that he just powered away late in the stretch. Confederate doing Confederate things. You know what? He's run a lot of sub-149 miles, and he can blow these guys out with his A race. His B race might even be good enough to win here.
He is very much the one to beat. He was 1-9 in that elimination, as you saw, 3-5 on the morning line. He'll be a very short price tonight, and really kind of the Breeders' Crown victory. Pretty much the only thing it seems to be missing on his resume, but he will have to take on 9 other foes. Want to remind everybody, you can sign up with Naira Bets and get a $25 free bet plus a $200 deposit match just in time for the Breeders' Cup World Championships, which takes place next week. I have the Breeders' Crown tonight. Use promo code CUP25 to experience the excitement. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Sign up at nairabets.com for your free $25 bet and a $200 deposit match. The first live race we'll bring you on our program is race 9 tonight. It's the Breeders' Crown final for the 3-year-old filly trotters. Here's a look at the field, and Bond, an impressive elimination winner last time, out 1-2 on the board right now.
Yeah, we all know that she's got the talent. It's always been there. It's starting to show again. She shifted into a really higher gear and trotted strong down the lane. Was in hand doing it. She's the horse to beat, in my opinion, but right inside of her is her main competition. Don't count out Special Way.
Well, as far as Bond goes, trained and driven by Aki Svanstedt, who certainly has had a hot hand when it comes to the trotting winners, as we welcome in Jessica Otten and Gabe Pruitt live with us at Harris Hoosier Park. And guys, really looking forward to kicking off the live action with this exciting group of fillies.
We're really looking forward to it as well. A little bit of a chilly side tonight, Gabe. Last night was really nice and warm. We had a few stakes and track records here at Hoosier Park. This is the 3rd year Hoosier Park has done it, and they have put on such a nice show.
They really have. 3rd year, Jess, they've hosted in the 40-year history of the Breeders' Crown Championships, but they made history here at Hoosier Park in the past. They've had the only dead heat in Breeders' Crown history. That happened in 2020 between Perfect Sting and Summa Cum Laude. So that's a bit of history there of the 40 years of the series. Also, they had the biggest upset in 2020. Sand Between My Toes paid $409.80 at a $2 win bet. That is by far, in fact, by over $250, the biggest upset in Breeders' Crown history.
We saw a nice upset last night in the 2-year-old colt and gelding pace with Dexter Dunn and Chris Ryder teaming up. Dexter Dunn already has 1 Breeders' Crown under his belt tonight. And then right here in this race, the 3-year-old filly trotters, I think the talk of the town is the Aki Svanstedt trained Bond and Special Way. Of course, this will will be the third time Tim Tetrick is behind Special Way. And Bond, they're just special fillies. That's just plain and simple how you have to put it.
And if you want to know how good August Fonstead is training trotters, Jess, going back to last year with that win with Jiggy Jog a little earlier tonight, and we'll take a look at that here in a few minutes on the broadcast. He's won 7 of the last 15 Breeders' Crowns in the trot. It's really unbelievable, and he's looking to go 8 of the last 16 if one of his 2 fillies can do it here.
It was a really strong elimination win by Bond last week, winning by 4 lengths after sitting the pocket. Now, we've seen this filly do it both ways on the front end, but I really do think she is better off of a helmet.
Yeah, she could be, and she could possibly follow her stablemate Special Way, but you're just going to see her coast home with an easy win there last week. Bond, an incredible filly. She's earned over $500,000 just this year alone. Career earnings here for the 3-year-old nearing in on $1.1 million.
And, you know, Special Way, there was talk of the town of maybe putting her in against the boys in the Hambletonian. Unfortunately, she had a little injury there. She came back, missed time, and she was so good down in Kentucky, aside from maybe that Kentucky Futurity. Yeah, that was the case, but she was bounced back in a good way here in a Breeders' Crowd elimination. She rallied from well off the pace. Tim Tetrick had mentioned, he just wanted to make sure he made the final. You had to be in the top 5, so it really handled her rather conservatively. Just in that elimination race, it made no difference. She exploded when it counted, and I think these 2 stablemates clearly the top 2 here had to get to the big money final. I agree with you, and we agree 1-2, but underneath of it, I think there's plenty of value to be found, and we both use the same horses, the 4 and the 10. The 10 rarely something starts from the second tier, was second behind Bond last week. Dexter Dunn now for the second time in the bike. And the interesting thing here, Jess, the gate goes 9 across. Post 10 starts from the second tier at Hoosier Park. Really something. Her weapon of choice, typically early speed. Well, she won't really be able to utilize that here because she has to start behind another horse. So, that's sort of the tricky part for Really Something. I mean, this is a filly that went off as the favorite back in the summer in the Hambletonian Oaks. So we know the ability's there. She's going to have to navigate that traffic. The good news is she's starting behind a couple of the favorites there in both Bond and Special Way. So I'm sure she's going to want to get out and be as close to the tempo as she can be. And Rose Run Yolanda gets post 4 to work with the Yannick opted for her in the elimination over Really Something. I think that speaks volume. Yeah, and she can really kick home. She's going to need a lively pace scenario. If she gets it, she's one to watch her in the late stages. It's a 3-year-old filly trot up next for the Breeders' Crown final. We'll send it back to the desk to Keisha and Paul.
Gabe and Jessica, thank you so much as they're about to line up. Final thoughts, Paul? I'm
a Bond girl. 2 horse. I'm down with Bond.
All right, going with the 007 angle, saying shaken, not stirred. Lining up for the Breeders' Crown 3-year-old fillies trot. Here is track announcer Michael Chamberlain with the call.
Here they come. They are off. Away well in the center, Rose Run Yolanda and Baroness Hill. Bond got away 3rd, and it's 2 lengths already to Special Way, who is 4th. Rarely Something moves up into 5th. After that, it's Heaven Hanover. Blonde Bombshell is racing in 7th. And then next comes Bravo Angel. Up on the outside, moving is Quick Stop, and Silly Me Hanover is 10th and last. Opening quarter, 26-3. On the back stretch now, and the leader is Rose Run Yolanda. Bond is moving to the outside from 2nd, and Oke Svanstedt now says, let's go with Bond, and Bond takes the lead. Special Way has moved to the outside of Baroness Hill and is advancing 1st over. 2nd over out there, Rarely Something. The next 2 are Heaven Hanover and Blonde Bombshell with a half mile up in 56-4, a 30-1 second quarter. Things slowed down a little bit there, and Special Way now moves up to take the lead. Bond back to 2nd with Rarely Something hounding her to the outside. Next are Rose Run Yolanda and Heaven Hanover. Another 1.5 lengths to Baroness Hill and Quick Stop, and then Blonde Bombshell. Head of the stretch, headed for home, 3/4, 124. Special Way in front. Bond pursuing 2nd. Rarely Something is on the outside 3rd, and then Rose Run Yolanda 4th. Special Way with 1/8 of a mile to come. Bond is trying to wear down this leader. Here comes Bond on the outside. Bond and Special Way, and Bond surges on the outside to win it, and she is Dr. Yes tonight. Bond is the winner. Special Way 2nd, Rarely Something, and Rose Run Yolanda 151-2. a track record time.
So many Bond puns that you can make, but one thing's for sure, this filly is very good. Aki Svanstedt trainees run 1-2. Paula's Bond gets the win.
Yeah, she actually had a little bit harder job than she probably should have in here, as Ake kind of conceded the lead to the stablemate Special Way and Timmy Tetrick when he came first over into that slow second quarter. But make no mistake about it, these two horses were much the best against this group, and Bond showed her class here tonight and got the job done by a head over a pretty good horse in Special Way. So Ake's got two special ones coming into next year and another track record.
We've seen quite a few of those over this weekend. Gabe is with us. Gabe, another track record goes down. That has been the theme this weekend, but one thing we know about Bond is she is very talented.
She certainly is, Acacia. Now, some things play out maybe as simple as they look on paper. This one did. Those two look like clearly the two best fillies here, the stablemates from Team Svanstedt. Really, the half a soft there, as Paul alluded to, 56-4. The third quarter, though, the tempo picked up. It was 27-1. I think that took just enough of the starch out of Special Way. It allowed her stablemate Bond to track her and gun her down there through this long home stretch at Hoosier Park. We've mentioned that Team Svanstedt has been rolling in the Breeders' Crown Trots. Again, going back to last year, the last 16 Breeders' Crown Trots, half of those have went to Team Svanstedt, now 8 of 16. So Bond gets it done here as the big favorite. Special Way, the runner-up. But as you guys said, a track record performance.
Team Svanstedt certainly has control over the trotting division. Just amazing as Aki trainees run 1-2. Bond in Special Way putting some separation on this field as well.
Yeah, they were much the best. And just think about that for a second. He's 8 of 16.
It's incredible.
I mean, 50% to bat that kind of average, to have those kind of trotters in your barn and get the job done and get them fully prepared and ready for big nights. I mean, it's just a testament. And I would love to know, watching the stretch run again, what he said to Tim Tetrick as he went by him, because he was looking at him and smiling.
Yes, you could see that. Well, I'm sure he was happy with the outcome no matter what, with his trainees running 1-2, 1-5 on Bond as she gets the victory over her stablemate Special Way. 2-1, 10-4 in the Breeders' Crown 3-year-old fillies trot. With winning owner, let's go down to Jessica.
Thanks, Acacia. Standing by with winning co-owner Jeff Gorell. Jeff, what a special filly Bond has been.
That's for sure. I'll tell you. Actually, Aki told me last year that he thought she could beat Special Way, and I wasn't really convinced. But we got a little better trip tonight, but she beat her.
She did, and you had a win last night, a win tonight, a nice signature win to have for her on the season.
That's for sure. So, you know, winning 2 on one weekend, considering I only won one in 30 years, is pretty special. But Aki and Sarah, they're unbelievable trainers, trainer-driver combination. So I give them all the credit.
She is one special filly. Like you mentioned, Aki just does a tremendous job.
He's unbelievable. I hope people realize what a great trainer he is. I mean, he's just, I've never seen anybody like Aki, to be honest. I mean, he won 11 out of 11 Simpsons. He's won, I think, 8 or 9 of the last 16 Breeders' Crowns. It's unbelievable.
Congratulations. Go enjoy it.
Thank you.
There you have it. Bond takes a 3-year-old filly trot Breeders' Crown final, and track record timing. We'll send it back to you guys.
Jessica, thank you. What an impressive performance from Bond, and great to hear from Jeff. Of course, Jeff, owner of the Meadowlands, which we've gotten a chance to cover quite a bit as well, and a true lover of the sport, very involved in the game, obviously, too, and part of a very special filly.
Yeah, for sure, and he tries to build the game out there in Jersey as well. We've had fun covering them this season.
Yes, absolutely. Bond makes her way into the winner's circle, bringing prices and more when we come back. We'll also preview some other exciting big names on the program, including Help First Edition and the incredible story of him overcoming the odds and showcasing his talent.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. Ranked #1 by percentage of stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and Grade 1 winners. No stallion has a better strike rate. Warfront is the sire of over 100 lifetime stakes winners, including some of the sport's most talented runners both at home and abroad.
Down to the wire, Verstappen.
War Bomber in front, War Bomber. War Bomber's won the King Edward.
Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Brittany Farms has a storied history of producing champions, pacers and trotters, fillies and colts. Among the best is Manchego, bred, raised, and sold as a yearling by Brittany Farms. She made more than $3 million on the racetrack, and on top of that, her foals will be worth their weight in gold. When planning for the future, let the past be your guide.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. Glad to have you with us. Our program brought to you in part by Naira Bets. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Visit nairabets.com or download the app today to get started. Bond in the winner's circle, a very familiar spot for her after her Breeders' Crown victory.
Yeah, 15 for 21 now lifetime. Pushed that lifetime earnings mark well over the $1 million mark, and she's a champ. I mean, there's nothing else you can really say about her. Just one bad start this year.
Big performance, and at 1-5 as well, able to run down her stablemate. That's the 3-year-old fillies trotting. We'll have the 3-year-old fillies pace coming up next for the Breeders' Crown final. And once again, some big names, including Sylvia Hanover, who was the 2022 2-year-old pacing filly of the year.
Yeah, and, you know, we've all said a bunch of times this year she's going to get beaten races, and she just hasn't gotten beaten yet. So more times than not, she does show up. She'll make your heart race a little bit, though, when she does race, because she is a psychological horse. So we'll see how it plays out tonight, but she's definitely a big player in here.
We'll take a look at her elimination, in which she finishes second. And reading some articles and hearing from the connections, feeling that she could potentially be peaking tonight, as opposed to that elimination where she finished second behind Strong Poison.
Yeah, and it's always a good thing when you're ready to peak at the right time for big races like this. The thing about her is she's a very psychological horse, so it's not so much that she plays around. It's more of she wants to race when she wants to race. And I think you know yourself, having been around a ton of horses, you know the way they can be sometimes. And sometimes she's not exactly...
Hard to argue with a 1,000-pound animal.
Yeah. You know, so sometimes it's better to be a pilot as opposed to, you know, a passenger than a pilot. But here, I mean, she had a lot to do last week to get to Strong Poison. So we'll see what happens with a better trip this week.
Sylvia Hanover, though, as mentioned, she had a remarkable 2022. She's 17 for 21 lifetime, which is really just incredible. And obviously, as mentioned, yes, beaten in the elimination. That will bring up some questions about her chances tonight. But you want to peak on the big days. You want to peak at the Breeders' Crown, not necessarily in the elimination.
100% right.
Well, she's 5-2 on the morning line after that tremendous 2022, winning the Breeders' Crown final at her home track, Woodbine Mohawk Park. Let's hear from trainer Sean Stacy on how she's doing.
She came out of it really good. You know, probably even better than she went into it, I think, with the ship and everything down here. But she's having a really good week so far. And I think, you know, the race the other day, she raced fantastic. So I think she's ready. She's been phenomenal all year long, really. She hasn't done anything wrong. she's never put in a bad race. Even the other night, you know, she was second, but she was second. Everybody gets beat, doesn't matter who you are, and hopefully she's back for this week, that's all. Intelligence is why she's as great as she is. She knows when to use it, when not to. She conserves all that energy, unlike most horses can, so that's what makes her a champion, I think.
Trainer Sean Stacy on Sylvia Hanover, as he and his father Mark have done a tremendous job with Sylvia in what she's done on the track so far, and he seemed very confident in that interview.
Yeah, he knows her obviously inside and out and knows just how she can act sometimes when she does get that psychological factor when it comes to her. Listen, she's atop the division. I mean, make no mistake about it. As he said, she hasn't run a bad race yet, and even getting beat last week wasn't her fault. Just tonight, she's got to find a trip. I'm hoping she comes first over and she doesn't get jammed up. If she gets a clean trip, though, she's going to be a handful.
Well, we have another Breeders' Crown race coming up shortly, and we'll see what those 3-year-old filly pacers do. But first, let's head down to Gabe with a special guest.
Thanks, Acacia. Standing by here with Joe Morris, Senior Vice President of Racing Operations for Caesars Entertainment. And Joe, what a special night once again here at Hoosier Park.
You know, this is our third time we've had this event. Caesars certainly likes big events, as does Harrah's Hoosier Park. We're just pleased to have the country come in and race their horses here.
And you have gotten rave reviews each and every time Hoosier Park has hosted the Breeders' Crown. This year, no exception. A lively crowd, lots of entertainment options. It's a packed house and really just a cool event.
Well, last time we had it was 2020 with the COVID restrictions. This time it's wide open. And we had a big crowd here last night, set record handles. We're going to set some more tonight. We've got a little bit of something for everybody here. We got 3 pick 5s, 3 pick 4s, a pick 8. It's just a good place to be for harness racing tonight.
And it's obviously we're seeing the very best in the sport here tonight. But the state of Indiana has been on the rise as well. What a breeding program they have here locally as well.
It's turning into one of the top. You know, we have a track in Ohio also. I think there's almost 20 horses representing the Midwest here, and they're representing us very well against the rest of the country.
Yes, they are, and we'll see a couple more in action here a little later tonight. That's Joe Morris, Senior Vice President of Racing for Caesars Operations. We'll send it back to you guys in New York.
Gabe, thank you, and a big thank you to Joe and the entire team. It really has been a lot of fun to follow all of the action going on at Hoosier and the way that they host the Breeders' Crown. And as Gabe mentioned, the Indiana breeding program has been so fun to see how the community roots for those hometown horses.
Yeah, we made mention of it last night, how the money now has gone into the game so well in Ohio, in Indiana, in Kentucky, and the Midwest has caught up now to Canada and the East Coast. And that's what makes this event such a great, big deal and a great event to bring everybody together and get those good horses together. And now that their breeding program's taking off, it's just going to go up from here.
Liked what he said. There's something for everybody tonight, and that certainly is true. We'll talk a little bit more about some of those wagers a bit later on in the show, and we have more live racing action for you after this quick timeout on America's Day at the Races. The 3-year-old filly Pacers up next. We'll see if Sylvia Hanover can get back to the winner's circle.
In Indiana, we grow it. And when it comes to harness racing, the Indiana program has grown to become one of North America's very best. Breed development and the ISA have been there every step of the way by overseeing and promoting the Indiana sired racing, breeding, and stakes programs at every level. We're working to ensure a right future for all of us.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
We are athletes. We are drivers. We are caretakers. We are owners. We are trainers. We are fans. We are harness racing.
Here comes Warrawee Michelle now to put ahead in front. It is a wild finish, but I do believe Warrawee Michelle might have held on. Good beginning for Gem Quality in the center. Gem Quality is fourth. Here comes Gem Quality. Gem Quality on the outside has taken the lead for Dexter Dunn, and it is Gem Quality with a 23-1 Breeders' Crown upset. Also moving up quickly, My Girl EJ. My Girl EJ on the outside. And here comes My Girl EJ. It is My Girl EJ and Dexter Dunn. This is going to be a 7th win tonight for him. And a second Breeders' Crown winner with My Girl EJ. Six to 5 on Carl. Carl has taken the lead as they approach the top of the stretch. It's Carl, and this is what we wanted. The two fabulous freshman trotters, 1-2, coming into the final eighth of a mile. Carl is in front and pulling away. Carl now in front by 3. Carl, who is a dominant victor tonight.
The 2-year-olds put on a great show for us last night in the Breeders' Crown. Some big performances, big upsets as well, Paul.
Yeah, what stuck out for me last night was My Girl EJ's win because Ron Birkin there ran 1-2-3 to become the lion's share of the purse. Dexter Dunn, 7 wins. He cut everybody a break, though. He didn't win anymore after we went off the air last night.
Well, he's already on the board tonight as far as the Breeders' Crown is concerned. We'll take a look at what took place in race 8, the open mare trot with Jiggy Jog.
Yeah, I mean, Jiggy Jog was at her best. Oh.
It's on refined. 3 quarters, 124-1, a 29-second third quarter. Jiggy Jog takes the lead. MM's Dream back to second, then refined. On the outside is HP Mama B. Into the final eighth of a mile. Jiggy Jog is in front now by 2. MM's Dream trying to keep pace, but it's Jiggy Jog in front. MM's Dream second. It will be Jiggy Jog. MM's Dream, one last try. Not enough.
Jiggy Jog holding on down to the line in the open mare trot earlier tonight in race 8. Dexter Dunn, there's that guy again with another victory.
Yeah, he made it look easy, except when it got a little close late. But I think she was geared down a little bit. She may have moved just a tick too soon, but make no mistake about it, she's been putting in great runs all season long. And she capped it off with a Breeders' Crown win.
What a cool mare she is. She's been really, really fun to follow. Big victory for her earlier today. Now, if you are someone who maybe watches our show and knows that with America's Day at the Races, we're focusing a lot on the Breeders' Cup coming up next week for thoroughbred racing. And there's a lot of similarities between the Breeders' Cup and the Breeders' Crown, which is taking place this weekend, both a 2-day event, and both started in 1984, which I think is amazing, Paul. And so many different categories for every type of runner.
Yeah, and the main thing is, just like with the thoroughbreds, the harness horses, they also prep, get their preps in, go on, and division honors are on the line as usual when you get to this point of the year for these big races.
The biggest names in the sport, that's for sure, and that does include the next race coming up. It's a 3-year-old filly pace Breeders' Crown final. Sylvia Hanover, 3-5 on the board right now. See if she can make amends for that second place finish in the elimination last week. And we'll get a chance to meet the field, kicking things off with the horse that beat her in that elimination, Strong Poison.
Yeah, came home in 25-4 and did it easily to upend Sylvia Hanover. Was it the Lasix? Maybe she's gotten good at the right time. I mean, she's always knocked on the door. Can she she slam it shut today in the biggest race?
You talked about Ron Burke finishing in the top 3 in a Breeders' Crown yesterday. He has a good chance with a horse who could be getting good at the right time there on the track. Here's the number 2, Beach Cowgirl, a big price.
Yeah, it should be. She won like she was supposed to against Lesser at the Meadows. When she's facing these types, though, she's been a few lengths behind them. Pretty sure that'll continue tonight.
40-1 on the board right now. 50-1 with the next horse coming up. That's the 3 Sweet Amira.
She's done some nice work. Her home base up at Woodbine. The race at Lexington was fine behind Sylvia Hanover. The Elim, though, not so fine. Backed out there a little quicker than I'd like to see, so she's going to be a big number tonight.
11-1 on the 4 Zanata, who you had commented really seems to appreciate the long stretch.
Yeah, I think that's a good key to have when you got a persistent horse like her. She rode that pocket and got up inches to just get past Twinbee Joe Fresh. So she's run well all season. I guess she's shown she can hang with one of the queens of the division. Can she hang with the other?
Good point. And there she is, Sylvia Hanover, 4-5.
Yeah, I made the point earlier. We've sat there a bunch of times and said she's going to get beat tonight. In some way, somehow, she doesn't. Last week, she finally did. I just think it was a victim of circumstance with the trip. She's always run good races.
Here's the 6, Charleston.
Yeah, routinely getting beat by a few lengths against these types. Just 2 for 14 on the season, too. So taking some money, though, at 14-1. I thought she'd be higher.
She was 3rd in that elimination that we discussed. Here is the number 7, Twinbee Joe Fresh. She's been in good form.
Yeah, she's picked off some big races this year, and along with Sylvia Hanover's been atop the division until, well, I don't think she lost anything in defeat, so I'm going to take that back. But she did what she's supposed to do when she was the best horse. Went to the top, just got nailed late. This kind of stretch will bite you, as we've seen.
Here's the 8, Always Be Naughty, long shot.
Got a comfortable spot last week, made up some late ground, but wasn't threatening the top 2. Another long shot in here from an outer post.
And we'll continue with that theme, so the theme with the long shots with the outer post. Next, we'll see McSeaside.
Kind of one paced last week and never made up the ground. She was kind of behind the entire race. She's been good at times, but not at this level with this group, I don't think.
And from the 2nd tier to the outside, longest shot on the board, Front Page Story.
Kind of the same story as the 9 as well. Hasn't done much this season and hasn't been successful at this level and is saddled with the 2nd tier now tonight.
Quickly, are you going against Sylvia Hanover or sticking with the favorite?
I am going with the 7 in here, Twinbee Joe Fresh.
All right, we'll see if she can get the job done. Let's go to Gabe and Jessica.
Thanks, Acacia. I'm actually going to stick with Sylvia Hanover this week, Gabe, and I think you are as well. But she's not going to have to pace so hard into such a slow half like she did last week. She still paced home in 25 and change. And like Mark Stacey said earlier, every horse gets beat. And I don't care that scenario last week into the elimination.
Yeah, the tempo just really didn't, work out for her last week. She likes to come from off the pace. It was a slow early pace. She did all she could. She did salvage second there. She never makes it easy, though, Jess. Anytime we see Sylvia Hanover, as good as she is, she's 17 of 21 in her career. She always leaves herself a lot of work to do. We'll see with this long stretch. It's the longest stretch in the sport of harness racing here at Hoosier Park. I think this is going to play into her hands.
The both favorites last week in each elimination got beat, Sylvia Hanover and Twinbee Joe Fresh. But Twinbee Joe Fresh seems to be very handy.
She actually just missed a nose last time, and the word is that she tied up. If you're wondering what that is, like I probably would the first time I heard it, muscle cramps. They did treat it. They expect her to be better tonight.
Here's Michael Chamberlain with the call of the 3-year-old Philly Pacers.
They are off. Good start from Twinbee Joe Fresh. Strong poison there, too. Zanata is up front with Sweet Amira. Beach Cowgirl at the inside. Sylvia Hanover is 6th and in behind horses as the field goes on to that opening turn. Racing next in 7th is Front Page Story. And then next is Charleston, Always Be Naughty, and the early trailer, McSeaside. 26-2, the opening quarter. And Strong Poison now has Twinbee Joe Fresh right alongside. Twinbee Joe Fresh takes the lead. Strong Poison back to 2nd. And now on the outside, there goes Sylvia Hanover, and she's moving fast on the outside. Moving up now to take 2nd, and has Twinbee Joe Fresh in her sights. Strong Poison back in 3rd as they hit the half in 54-4. 28-2 is the 2nd quarter. Moving on to the 2nd turn. Twinbee Joe Fresh and Sylvia Hanover. The gloves are off. These two are going right at it, and Strong Poison is right behind them. Charleston is 4th, and then down on the inside, Zanata. 3rd over comes Always Be Naughty, followed by Beach Cowgirl, Sweet Amira, then Front Page Story and McSeaside. 3 quarters, 121-2. Twin B Joe Fresh has it now by 2. Sylvia Hanover trying once again on the outside. Charleston is diving down to the pylons. The 3 of them across the track with an 1/8 of a mile to come. Always be naughty at big odds. Sylvia Hanover, Charleston, Twin B Joe Fresh, Sylvia Hanover, and Charleston. It's Charleston narrowly, Twin B Joe Fresh, photo! Always Be Naughty rallied for 3rd. Beach Cowgirl 4th, 1:49 and 2.
Sylvia Hanover showing her class in this effort. Paul, she looked absolutely beaten and came back, I don't know how, to get the win.
She was buried as they made their way towards 3/4. And as we've said 100 times this year, she's going to get beat tonight. And some way, somehow, she didn't when the race came back to her.
You phrased it perfectly with that line.
And she just got there by an inch over a great race from Charleston.
What an effort. Charleston ducking down towards the pylons, coming back, and it looked like the 7 Twin B Joe Fresh might have had it at one point, but Gabe, Sylvia Hanover, that class on display. What a performance today.
She's incredible, guys, and as we said right before the race started, she just never makes it easy on herself. This one was not easy. This was Charleston down to the inside. She was adding Lasix tonight for the first time. She was valiant in defeat. But if you're new to the sport of harness racing, Sylvia Hanover took all the worst of it here in more ways than one, guys, because not only did she attack early, I'm sure the strategy there for driver Bob McClure was to maybe dart to the lead, but Dexter Dunn there with Twin B Joe Fresh kept her to the outside. So she was actually traveling more of a distance there around the turn when she's off the inside there in the 2-path. Not only that, standardbreds by nature, well, they like to follow horses. They like to track. They like to draft, and they like to see as little air as possible. Guys, she took all the worst of it. She was on the outside. She took a ton of air. It made no difference here. Sylvia Hanover, she goes 18 for 21 in her career. This year alone, she's over $767,000.
In a quote this week from Team Stacy, they said, Sylvia Hanover just breathes different air. And I think we saw that on display today, as Gabe mentioned, just the adversity that she overcame in this performance.
Yeah, and especially with a stretch like that and to take that amount of air. And she's got that very enigmatic racing style. Like, she just will want to race when she wants to race. And all of a sudden, it was like she saw the horse, Twin B Joe Fresh stopping and Charleston dive to the inside. And I mean, credit to Bob McClure because he kind of turned her inward a little bit to see Charleston coming up the inside, and she found that wire and put her nose down.
Certain horses, I mean, you look back at like a Zenyatta in the thoroughbred world. Obviously not the same type of running style. She was a big, deep closer, but every time she raced, you said, she's going to get beat. She's not going to get there in time. And she was always able to overcome things. It seems like it's a similar conversation with a horse like Sylvia Hanover, and those are the ones that you look back and you say, they're special.
Yeah, and we always say this 100 times. Mick says it a lot, too. Good horses, great horses, they always find their way to get to the wire or put their nose down or put themselves in good position to win a race. And maybe sometimes it's just when it clicks, like, all right, I got to start running now in that last 1/8 of a mile. And, I mean, she finished strong because that 3rd quarter was pretty strong throwing it down and then finishing up in 1:49 and 2. So 18 for 21 lifetime, and that was a big effort for her.
At 4 to 5, it wasn't easy in the way that she did it. She definitely had to work for it, but she got the win when it counted. Very impressive, and an impressive performance from the runner-up in Charleston as well.
Yeah, I was impressed with that, and as Gabe said, Lasix for the first time may have made a difference there.
Let's go down to Jessica.
Hold on, I don't have them yet.
Oh, well.
We'll get there in a moment. Jessica waiting by for winning driver Bob McClure. As we could get him over there. He's fixing the blanket. He's a little busy at the moment.
I think, I definitely think Sylvia Hanover knows that she's getting her picture taken. So
let's go back down to Jess.
Thanks, Acacia. Here's Bob McClure, winning driver. Bob, talk to us about that trip because it looked like when you come up the backside, you were coming hard like you wanted the lead.
Yeah, Timmy come early, so I had to move, but I would have come out and just rode, but she's got a mind of her own. Sometimes she come out like she wanted to go guns a-blazing. We were flying up the backside, but, we didn't clear, which, and all the credit goes to her. That was one of the most impressive trips I've ever seen, and I didn't do her any favors.
Back-to-back Breeders' Crown wins. Just talk about how special of a filly she is.
I think she speaks for herself. She's just she's a once-in-a-lifetime horse. Just very lucky to be a part of her.
She really is, and down by the wire, I mean, she just kept coming and held on by the nose. I mean, Timmy's mare was charging at the end as well.
Yeah, you know, like she got by Dex, and I think she didn't quite realize that that horse was coming. So, you know, once she figured out there was a horse there, she fought him right to the wire.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you have it. Sylvia Hanover takes the 3-year-old pacing filly Breeders' Crown final. She just breathes different air. She's a freak. We'll send it back to you guys at the desk.
Big performance from Sylvia Hanover, as we heard from winning driver Bob McClure. I thought it was interesting what Bob said. I didn't do her any favors.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to be a passenger as opposed to a pilot. Get them just in a position. And she had her mind on running early, and then, as Bob said, she kind of backed off there a little bit, and he did her no favors by trying to get her into the race. But, boy, she picked up when she needed to and got her nose on the wire when it counted.
She looked beaten, came back with a huge effort to get the win in the Breeders' Crown final. Prices and more when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
The world's greatest harness racing at Meadowlands Racing and Entertainment happens every Friday and Saturday night. Post time is 6:20 p.m. Admission and parking are free. On Saturday, November 25th, over $2.5 million is up for grabs as the best 2-year-olds battle it out in the Fall Final Four and the best trotters and pacers battle in the FanDuel Championships. Plus, check out our FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can legally watch and wager on all the sports action. Visit PlayMeadowlands.com for complete racing and sports wagering information. Must be 21 or older to wager. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Dragon's Lair by 2 1/4. Annihilator on the outside. Pershing Square on the outside. Broadway Express less than an 8. It's Dragon's Lair by 2 1/2. Here comes Annihilator and Broadway Express. Dragon's Lair. Annihilator. Dragon's Lair wins the Breeders' Crown. 154. 1/5. Another world's record.
In the 1984 2-year-old colt Pace, we see Dragon's Lair upending undefeated Annihilator. Love looking back at those big wins.
I know, that was a big deal back then, too, because that was a world record time, and that was also beating a legend Annihilator as well. And I love seeing the old sulkies, too.
Yeah,
and all the guys
very
who've been
cool to
driving,
look
lining up
back on.
across the track at the end of a race.
Very cool to look back on and seeing some big performances and big efforts, and that's what it's all about. And that's what we just saw as far as the 3-year-old filly's pace is concerned. Sylvia Hanover showing her class, $3.80 winner. As they say, not necessarily winning like a 4 to 5 shot should, but I don't think she ever really does, Paul. As we've heard from her connections, she's opinionated, she's a little bit of a tricky one to time things, looked absolutely beaten, and came back with a stunning effort.
And I think it all equals to just competitor. And when she's out there, she knows what her job is. And when she has her mind on business, which is usually around the last, 16th of a mile, she will get the job done more times than not. But she ran big in here in the context of the race, considering she wanted to fly off the wings, and Bob kind of had to take her back a little bit and kind of work around a little bit of traffic. But make no mistake about it, she's the queen, and she won this race pretty easily in those last strides. But Charleston gave her a little bit of a handful.
She likes to give you a little bit of a heart attack, but what a stunning effort from Sylvia Hanover. The boys in the spotlight as they have the 3-year-old colts and geldings in the 1-mile trot Breeders' Crown final. Taking a look at the field right now, and there are a couple of really good stories in this group. A pretty wide open race as well, as you can see by the board at the moment.
Yeah, right now the early money going to Help First Edition and also Tactical Approach. And Tactical Approach is a horse that figures in here as a tepid favorite anyway, but he's got the second tier. So it'll be a good, thing for Scotty Z to try and figure out a trip for this horse.
And Help First Edition, one of those horses taking attention and is an Indiana hometown hero after that impressive win in the elimination last week. The only horse to be supplemented into this year's Breeders' Crown, and he's a perfect example of an easy horse to root for and one that has consistently overcome the odds.
As Help First Edition strode down the stretch at Harris Hoosier Park at his Breeders' Crown elimination, the crowd raised the rafters at the Anderson Oval, and rightly so, as the sophomore trotter and Indiana champion is a hometown hero.
Help First Edition and John DeLong, and they are home free.
Help First Edition is one of 8 Indiana-sired horses to make their respective Breeders' Crown finals, but stands alone as the sole supplemental entry from 185 participants in the first round of Crown contests. His owners do not operate a large stable or often compete on harness racing's biggest stage. But Connections felt the gelded son of Help is on the way should have the opportunity to compete with the sport's brightest stars. So they signed the check for $72,000 after a strong performance in the Indiana Super Final. Help First Edition will begin his bid for Breeders' Crown glory with regular reinsman John DeLong at the controls for conditioner Missy Essig and her husband Joe. Should he reign supreme, Help First Edition would join 22 horses to win a crown as a supplemental entry, including fellow Indiana star Freaky Feet Pete, who accomplished the feat in 2015.
And it's Freaky Feet Pete to win the Breeders' Crown.
The gelding is no stranger to adversity. Help First Edition survived a barn fire and injury as a freshman and did not compete at 2. He has only missed 1 check in 19 starts in 2023, while banking over $394,000.
It is Help First Edition and Ponda Jet, and to the inside point of perfect, the 3 of them come to the finish together, and Help First Edition prevails.
Help First Edition is accustomed to overcoming the odds. Will the gelding do so yet again to supply his connections with their first Breeders' Crown triumph and make dreams come true to become the pride of the Hoosier State? It all comes down to the crown.
Help First Edition, he definitely is an easy horse to root for, and if he gets the win tonight, Paul, you can certainly expect that Harris Hoosier Park will be buzzing.
Yeah, the place will be rocking if he gets that win tonight. And you have to give him credit for all the adversity he's faced, and he raced well. He overcame the fire. He overcame the injuries. It's enough to have a horse just be like, you know what? I'm just going to pack it in. I'm not going to run. But now you look at this horse, 8 for 19, has banked all the money he's banked, and is a late bloomer. And as we've seen a lot, the late bloomers, they make some noise because all the other horses, they've run races, hard races all year long through this stake schedule. The ones that are coming along late, they're peaking at the right time, and they may catch some of these horses at a time where they're starting to back off a little bit.
The Connections have done a terrific job with him. Let's head down to Gabe with a special guest.
Thanks so much, guys. Standing by with trainer Melissa Essig of Health First Edition. And Melissa, talk to us about this trotter. What a dream season he's had for you guys here in the state of Indiana.
He's been a true blessing to have in our barn for sure. He's come off of an injury as a 2-year-old, and he's just really rocked his 3-year-old year.
This colt's gone through a lot of adversity.
Yes, he's survived a barn fire when he was prepping for his 2-year-old year, and then he had his injury, and now he's came back. He's a fighter.
No, he's been sensational, but he's taken on Indiana Bred Company all season long. He did win his Breeders' Crown elimination here last week. What do you think you're stepping up for the first time against some of the open trotters, the very best in North America?
I'm just hoping he shows up like he did last week and prove that he could race with them.
And what type of advantage? The rest of the field, they've been all over the place. They've raced in the United States. They've raced in Canada. You guys have been right here. You've never made a start outside of the state of Indiana. Do you think that gives you an advantage you're heading into the big race tonight?
I'm hoping so. This is his home, and this is all he knows, and so I'm hoping that is our home court advantage for sure.
All right, well, lots of faithful here at Hoosier Park tonight. We'll be rooting for Health First Edition. We'll see if he can step up here. Up next, guys, in the $672,000 Breeders' Crown.
Health First Edition, hometown hero indeed, as we'll take a look at this elimination where he pulled away impressively over Ari Ferrari. And I liked it. Missy even had the swag with Health First Edition as well.
Yeah, you know what? He puffs up. He's in his own backyard, and he wants to win. And he opened up here, and he did it well in this race. He wasn't really asked too hard, just a couple of love taps down the lane to keep going. And it's not like Ari Ferrari J is a bum. This horse is a good horse.
He was 4-5 that day.
Yeah. So opening up, making it look easy, peaking at the right time. I mean, he went through the Sire Stakes program. He won there as well. So put it all together. He's peaking and being a good horse right now. So I think the surroundings are familiar. He knows the stretch. He knows the track. He's got a shot in here to run well.
As we mentioned, plenty of multi-race wagering opportunities, and this race does kick off the pick 5. Paul, what do you got for us?
So this race to me is wide open. We kick it off. I went 7 deep in here with the 2 Ari Ferrari J being my top selection. I also thought a long shot that you want to look at in here is the 6 Air Power, who has as much ability as anyone in here, to be honest. He came flying home in his last, and he probably needed that race off the break that he made in the start before that. Coming back at race 12, I'm singling the 8 Grace Hill. I feel like the goal last week with her was simply just to make the final as opposed to winning the elim. She ended up off the pace. She came home nicely. I think tonight she's going to show a little bit more speed early. She's going to be dangerous out there. And then race 13, I mean, obviously Confederate. A lot of people are going to be leaning on Confederate. He's going to be the horse to beat in there. I'm not trying to beat him. Get into race 14 in the open trot. There's a bunch of good horses in there. 2 really good ones for me anyway. It's Academic the 2 and Al Raja 1 as well. Threw in the 10 Rattle My Cage as a long shot. It's worth noting, Aki Svanstedt doesn't use Lasix often. He's using Lasix here on that horse. And if we're still alive at race 15, the 2, the 3, and the 10, logical horses, By the Missile is my top pick. Gabe, can we win this together or not tonight?
Well, unfortunately, Paul, we can't win it together. We're very similar, though, in many legs. Right here in the opening leg, your top choice, Ari Ferrari J, who's up there 9-1 right now. I used him, but my top choice is the other horse you mentioned, Air Power. He's a good price here on the board right now, double digits. But I'm 4 deep. I had this first leg is wide open. We're going to take a fork in the road, my friend, in the second leg. You like Grace Hill tonight? I like Max Contract. This long stretch, she has a devastating late kick there. I think she out-rallies Grace Hill through the lane. We'll see how it goes there. One of us hopefully will survive leg 2. Confederate, I'm like you, a slam dunk single there in the third leg. He's the horse of the year, guys. Have to single him. And that fourth leg, you know, I thought a little more wide open. Araja 1 is a horse to beat in that open trot, but he's got post 9 in that big field. It won't be easy. I used him, but I spread out there. Finally, for rolling into the last leg, to go 2 deep there. By the Missile, Tattoo Artist. Those are going to be the 2 heavy favorites there at the 15th race finale, but I just don't think you can get past them. We've got a $16 play here, the pick 5.
Gabe, best of luck. Thank you. Very similar formats in their pick 5 tickets, but some dueling singles. We'll see how it plays out. We'll meet the field for this Breeders' Crown trot for the Colts and Geldings, starting off with Celebrity Bambino.
Had things all his own way in the elim last week and draws that inside post for the final. So has a strong shot, excuse me, I can't talk, to dictate his own race from in there. So we'll see what happens.
6-1 on the board right now in this wide open Breeders' Crown final coming up. And he's a horse that has been relatively consistent all along as well.
Yeah, he's a better horse with someone to follow as well. So that's what I think makes his elim win look better than it actually is. So we'll see how it plays out for him from that inside post. I just wonder if he's going to take back a little bit tonight and find that helmet and get one run.
Again, 6-1 on Celebrity Bambino. Ron Burke and Yannick Gingras will team up once again. Here's Ari Ferrari J.
Favorite last week, failed to deliver the goods, got overhauled by Help First Edition. But I think the plan was to park Ari on the top. That didn't last long, so he's better than that last race. Does draw well tonight. It's my top pick at a price.
It was a short price last week. You're getting 10-1 on him today. Here's Up Your Deo.
Yeah, it's that Aki Svanstedt guy again. Sometimes the best laid plans don't work out. That's for the best. I think that happened last week when that horse ended up third, and the race came back to him, parted, got that run off the heavy favorite Tactical Approach. He's been up and down all year, but he's finding himself again.
The 4, Kilmister, is next.
Went to the top and then got put in the pocket by Winner's Bet. Seemed he was going to fade in the lane. The race started coming apart. He found his legs again, ran on some. He's got another good post tonight. He'll be up close early. We'll see what happens late.
Hometown Hero, Help First Edition.
It's a great story. You have to root for him tonight. We'll see what he does from that post if he's got one big move in him once again to get the job done on his home turf.
Both you and Gabe Paul having some interest in the 6, Air Power.
I like this horse a little bit tonight. Sat at the back of the pack, slid out, rallied 5 wide to finish 4th last week. Looking for the pace to get hot and heavy. Set up this guy's run.
10-1 on this one right now. Definitely some good value. A long shot coming up next. Here's Osceola.
Well, pocketed up the entire trip against Celebrity Bambino and French Wine last week. Made the most of it, but got caught by French Wine late. Still a step behind some of the bigger names in here, but hey, you got to be in it to win it, and we've seen some prices win.
Speaking of French Wine, here he is. French Wine, I'm a big fan, by the way.
I was just thinking, I can interest you in a glass right now.
I would, yes.
Yeah, there you go. I'm using this horse. Favored last week of the Celebrity Bambino Limit. Everyone thought he was the one who was going to move at the gate and didn't. Instead, he pushed first over with a really long drawn-out run to be second. The good thing was he kept grinding and he kept going. I got to believe they'll race him more aggressively tonight.
Here's Dire Straits, a big price.
Yeah, the familiar refrain of a long shot at Hoosier, just riding the pylons and making the most of that inside trip, finishing 3rd. Last week, big number, probably be the same tonight.
And your favorite breaks from the 2nd tier. Here's Tactical Approach.
This is interesting because this horse has a shot in here. He's the tepid favorite to me. He's got post 10. I feel like buyer beware with him. He probably would have won if the inside didn't open up for Up Your Deo. I don't know. He's a good horse, but to me, he just didn't have that oomph or punch. It's a hard take at 2-1, but he figures, and I used him.
2-1 right now from the 2nd tier for Tactical Approach. Let's head down to Jessica and Gabe, trackside.
Thanks, Acacia. Yeah, the Tactical Approach is your favorite right now. Gabe and I went a little elsewhere. We kind of found some value. I went with Ari Ferrari. You went with Air Power. But let's talk about Tactical Approach for just a second, Gabe, because with that 2nd tier start, he has to follow whoever he wants out of the gate. But if he chooses 1 through 3, those are some pretty nice colts that have plenty of early speed in front of him.
Yeah, and Tactical Approach is a nice colt as well, Jess. You're going to see in the elimination, you know, he just gets outgunned late. Up Your Deo got up the inside here. Tactical Approach did not race poorly. He was a runner-up there. He's won 2 legs of the trotting Triple Crown this year. He won the sports signature event, the $1 million Hambletonian back in August. He also won the Kentucky Futurity at the Red Mile. But let's face it, Jess, he has gotten a little lucky. You know, he tripped out in those races. He got to shoot through at the inside. I'm like Paul. You know, could he win? Absolutely. Do I want to play him at 2-1? Absolutely not.
Absolutely. But like you had mentioned, he got lucky a little bit in those races. He was able to scoot the rail in both of those races. I don't know if that's exactly how this is going to shape up here tonight, because I think this is a very good field of colts.
It really is, but he's the type of horse that likes to get out of there. I don't think the 2nd tier will bother him. I think he'll just track as long as he can. You know, he's sort of a one-brush type horse. You know, I don't think we'll see Tactical Approach make an early move in this race. I think he'll just sit, track, use this long stretch here at Hoosier Park to try and get up when it counts.
Your top choice in here is Air Power, a horse I'm very familiar with racing at the Meadowlands. He was our New Jersey Sire Stakes winner. Andy McCarthy drove him that night. He was locked in on it for his life on the rail for 4th, then was able to get out and trotted home so strongly. He has so much speed. It's a matter of if he can keep it all together.
Yeah, he's been a little bit of a head case or head count, whatever you want to call him for his connections. Marcus Melander as the trader. He's one of the top trotting traders in the sport, Jess. He actually went off as the favorite in one of the Hambletonian eliminations. The train's gone off the tracks a bit. The connection's still trying to tinker with them and work out his issues. Marcus has gone to his brother Matthias Melander in the bike tonight, 27 years old. He's by far the youngest driver in these 12 Breeders' Crown Championships. So Matthias here on the big stage, he's going to have to get a little lucky. He's a horse that likes to use his one brush. I think if the tempo is lively, which I do expect it to be here, I think Air Power can outkick these in the lane. As Paul mentioned, he had to be a little cautious with them coming off a break in stride in his Breeders' Crown elimination. Tonight, the training wheels are off. The big money's on the line.
You know, something I do like about Matthias in the bike, though, is that he's able to sit behind this horse more often during the week, working for his brother Marcus. You also use Ari Ferrari. He was 3 wide at the quarter pole last time out. He's a horse that's really rounded into himself this probably over the last month or so.
Yeah, he has, and he was a big-ticket yearling purchase a couple of falls ago, $600,000 and some $1,000. So, you know, Ari Ferrari J's got a license. Throw out that last race. He actually finished well to be second, but he was all over the track. That trip just did not work out. He does get the post edge here over a lot of his rivals. They'll start from post number 2. I think the price is right here, Jess. I'm actually a little shocked that he's double digits. I give him a big chance. And, oh, by the way, who's in the bike? Dexter Dunn. He's been winning everything here for the last couple of nights here at Hoosier Park. So I think the fans are overlooking him here a little right now.
I think so, too. And, of course, Aki Svanstad's having a great weekend. He sends out and sits behind the Up Your Deo. 0 for 8 as a 2-year-old. He's 6 of 12 this season. He's got a lot of really nice races on his resume. He's a horse that has plenty of gate speed, but I think he's really good off a helmet. If Aki could get him some sort of trip like he did Bond, I think he could pay off in a good way as well.
Yeah, we saw that replay back at his elimination, Jess, and he actually stalked and he came up the inside there to beat Tactical Approach. That was his first start with Lasix, therapeutic medication. You know, he really seemed to kick home well when adding Lasix. Second start Lasix here tonight. We'll see.
It's going to be a good one here in the 3-year-old Colt and Gelding Trot Breeders' Crown Final. We'll send it up to Michael Chamberlain for the call.
And help first edition. Here they come. They are up. Up Your Deo with a perfect start. Help First Edition moves up second. Ari Ferrari J is third, and then Air Power advances 3 wide. Celebrity Bambino and Kill Mister are together. Tactical Approach is into 7th. French Wine is racing 8th, and the last 2 at the outset are Osceola and Dire Straits. By the quarter in 26 and 4. And moving up on the outside is Air Power, and Air Power has taken the lead. Second is Up Your Deo. Help First Edition is moving alongside that third. And then a length and a half, Ari Ferrari J. Celebrity Bambino next. After that is Kill Mister. Tactical Approach is to the outside. Racing 8th is Osceola. And then next in 9th is French Wine. Dire Straits last through a half of 55 seconds. Moving on to the second turn, Help First Edition and John DeLong leading the way. Ari Ferrari J is moving up on the outside. Air Power third. Celebrity Bambino is second over. Then Up Your Deo. Tactical Approach third over. To the inside, Kill Mister. Next is French Wine with Osceola and Dire Straits. Head of the stretch, headed for home. 3 quarters, 123 and 3, 28 and 3 the third quarter. Help First Edition off the turn with the lead. Air Power to the inside. Ari Ferrari J, Celebrity Bambino. It is wide open coming inside the final 1/8 of a mile. And here comes the Hambletonian winner. Tactical Approach on the outside has come on to take the lead. Up Your Deo down on the inside trying to re-rally, but Scott Zeron and Tactical Approach have won it. Second was Up Your Deo, photo for third, Air Power, and French Wine, 151 and 2.
Tactical Approach, your favorite from the second tier, didn't matter. He was able to get the win as they all came running late.
Yeah, third over grind for Tactical Approach. So credit to Scott Zeron for finding a spot and getting into the flow, which Ari Ferrari J took a lot of that air going first over. Celebrity Bambino right behind, and then Tactical Approach. 3 wide, flipped off, long stretch, and was able to mow them down late. Up Your Deo up the inside, tried to re-rally again, but it was all about the Hambo winner. Tactical Approach getting the job done. As your favorite.
Yeah, it looked at one moment like Aki Svanstad was going to add to that trotting record, but Gabe, it was Tactical Approach. Big effort from him finishing up here.
You know, it really was, Acacia, and this is a horse that has clearly stamped himself as the best 3-year-old trotter in North America. He is going to end up with divisional honors, and what a great drive here from Scotty Z. We talked about that second-tier start. He ends up third over with the nice striking range there. It was a lively tempo, the half 55 seconds. That's solid for this group. He kicks off cover. He really got to follow horses until maybe the final eighth of a mile, so he kept tactical approach, just drafting along there. He asked him the final eighth, and did he ever step up and respond? Tactical approach. He's done it again here, guys. He's going to be well over $1.2 million just in his 3-year-old season here alone.
Just incredible. He had won half of his starts in 2023 coming in here with 18 for 16. So he's now 9 for 17 for a horse that's been remarkably consistent and putting up another big effort.
Yeah, this is a good one for Nancy Tactor. And they just flipped the results from their limb. This time he got the better trip and got the job done. So a very classy trotter here that, as Gabe said, should win divisional honors now.
And like with anything, it really often is so much about the trip.
Yeah, 100%. And Scotty Z, as we know, has been the money man this year. And if you've been watching our shows, he's won a lot of big races this year. So he knows what to do behind a horse. And he was able to find a comfortable trip where this horse did not have to take much air and got to wait as long as possible in order to come out and make that run. And as Gabe said, basically the final eighth of a mile and put in that powerful trotting stride to get the job done.
And in a race we said looked like it was so wide open, it was the 2-1 favorite to get the job done with tactical approach.
It always happens that way,
Always,
doesn't it?
yes.
Always. It's rare that we sit here afterwards and say, man, we knew it. And they bet him like they knew because he was as low as 9-5 at one point, even from that second-tier post.
10-3-8-6 tactical approach for trainer Nancy Tactor with the win in the Breeders' Crown Final. The 3-year-old colts and geldings trotting, prices, reactions, and more when we come back after this.
Cowpokes, find out why we wear the brand.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Standardbreds give their all every time they hit the track. These noble horses are there for us, digging deep in weekly starts and careers spanning hundreds of races. And when they cross the finish line for the final time, it's our turn to be there for them. Experience the joy that comes from helping a Standardbred succeed beyond the track as a loyal riding horse, competitor, and companion. Learn how at newvocations.org.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, brought to you by Naira Bets. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get started at nairabets.com or download the app today. For the 3-year-old trotting colts and geldings, it was tactical approach to get the win. Another game effort for this consistent son of tactical landing.
Nice win for the Nancy Tactor barn as well. And you're looking at what will more than likely be the 3-year-old trotting champion.
Had a very consistent year. As mentioned, had won half of his starts coming into this race. $6 winner in what was probably the most wide open race we've seen so far this evening.
Yeah, I mean, you could have made a case for probably 6 or 7 very easily in this race. But when you have the class that Tactical Approach has, the second tier didn't even matter for him in a spot like this. Some horses just don't like it, and you can see. I mean, he was sitting a really good third over comfortable trip. I mean, he really wasn't even being asked in that third over position where you see some of the other drivers have their whips up or they're getting to work on some of their horses, and Scotty Z just kind of flipped him off that cover, and he came with that trot that he has. And the outside paths, they're working well tonight, just as well as some of the inside ones we've seen, so it's been a fair track. He was able to close, and he was able to get the job done. And he flipped the elim results with Up Your Day-O in here, but ran a good race and set the inside trip. Got kind of the run of the race down inside.
After that elimination order, a finish flip-flopped here. Tactical Approach gets the best of Up Your Day-O tonight, who came up the inside with that menacing late rally. But Tactical Approach with Scott Zeron, who has been his regular driver, and having to break from the second tier can certainly be a bit of a challenge to overcome. But as you said, his driver giving him a great trip and getting the best trip today to get the victory.
And a lot of the time it's about who you follow and how much speed that horse has in front of you so you can get that position.
Let's go down to Jessica with winning trainer.
Thanks, Acacia, standing by with winning trainer Nancy Tactor. Nancy, let's just talk about this guy and the ride he's taking you on this season. Of course, the Hambletonian scooting up the rail from post 10. A nice win in Lexington, scooting up the rail. And then, of course, now a nice win in the Breeders' Crown.
Now nobody can say he went up the rail because he was actually 3 wide coming off the turn. But he's just a fantastic horse. He knows how to win. Scott said, you know, he just pulled the plugs because he wanted to make sure that nobody was going to sneak up on the open stretch. But he said he had it under wraps, and he was just perfect.
You know, talk about this horse and just the versatility he has, because we saw the speed worked into him in Lexington. And tonight, you know, Scotty just seems to always have him in the right spot.
Yeah, but you know what? He's such a nice horse to drive, so that helps Scott a lot. You know, he's very handy. He can jam him in a hole. You know, he can leave with him. He can do absolutely anything. And, you know, the horse has really, I think, so much more development in him because he didn't really race a lot at 2. So he's made big strides in a quick year, and he's just a fantastic horse. You know, to do what he's done with just 5 starts as a 2-year-old and to make up, you know, his education went really quickly from the spring to now is just phenomenal.
And talk about the ownership group. These guys are so happy. It just makes my heart happy for them. And it couldn't be for better people either.
No, they are absolutely the best group of owners. We have a group text message, and they send me the nicest messages of what a good job I've been doing and everything. So it's super appreciated. It makes my job much easier. And, you know, like you said, you just can't not be happy for them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There you have it. Nancy Tactor takes to the Breeders' Crown final for the 3-year-old colt and gelding trotters with Tactical Approach. We'll send it back to you, Acacia.
A special victory, and you can just feel how excited Nancy is. And I love that story about the owner's group text. That's awesome.
Yeah, and a positive group text at that. So that always makes a big difference, especially when you come to training a horse or stuff like that.
It's not an easy job.
No, it's definitely not an easy job. So that's great. Love it for the connections, and love it for Nancy, too, who's having a great year, top to bottom.
Very cool story. And like Nancy said, I mean, he's won some of the biggest races in the game, but still feeling like there could be some more development in him, which could be pretty exciting of what we'll see in the future. We turn our attention to the Breeders' Crown Open Mares 1-mile pace coming up next. Grace Hill, I know the horse that you ended up singling on your ticket, Paul.
Yeah, I'm all about Grace Hill in here. I just feel like last week she wasn't raced that hard to win her elim. They took her back further back than she'd normally be. I think the gloves come off tonight. They're going to be more aggressive with her, and she's a good horse.
We'll see what she can do. She's 3-2 on the board right now. We'll talk a little bit more about this race and what's still to come. Confederate going for a dozen this year. He's been sensational. Keep that momentum going.
Brittany Farms has a storied history of producing champions, pacers and trotters, fillies and colts. Father Patrick, bred, raised, and sold by Brittany, was a champion trotter at both 2 and 3.
Redemption for Father Patrick!
He continues to build his legacy by siring million-dollar yearlings and classic winners like Green Shoe. When planning for the future, let the past be your guide.
My grandfather instilled in me that there's no such thing as luck. He said luck is where hard work meets opportunity.
And as they head for the final turn, it is Mac Lobel right behind him, Buckfinder. And now coming out 3 wide on the outside, it is Beverly Olympian, BJ Superstar right there, 3/4 in 1:30 and 4/5. And as they head for home, it is Mac Lobel. He's the one to catch. Buckfinder, the only one with a chance to get to him. Mac Lobel and John Campbell, they found their best ride. Buckfinder off the rail. They drive the wire. Mac Lobel, Buckfinder. Here's the battle, but it's Mac Lobel winning in 1:59 and 1/5.
Mac Lobel in the 1986 two-year-old trot, driven by John Campbell. And Mac Lobel, a Hall of Fame member and one of only 4 trotters to capture 3 Breeders' Crown victories.
And an impressive 71 for 94 lifetime.
Amazing.
When you think about that, that is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, just to be able to win all those races and driven by one of the best. I think he's the greatest of all time,
Yeah.
John Campbell, 100%. He was my favorite growing up.
I love that. I love that.
He was my favorite.
Truly incredible. 48 career Breeders' Crown wins for John Campbell.
When you think about it, I mean, and John drove so many races. Those 48 wins make him, I think, like 11 or 12% as far as, and that's an amazing record to have. And just to have that many wins and to think just how talented he is, you know, behind a horse. I bet you John could still get behind a horse and drive one to a win. I want to know that, guys. You need to ask him that.
We'll see if we can find out. Let's head down to Jessica.
Thanks, Acacia. Yes, I'm standing by with John Campbell. They were just talking about Mac Lobel, and we were talking about Mac Lobel. Of course, you know, the horsemen aim for the Breeders' Crown all year long. How special is it to win a Breeders' Crown?
Well, it is. It's what we all strive for. And as I've said many times, these guys, even when they're racing in June, July in the big stakes, they're pointing their horses and hoping they can have them good enough at the end of the year for the Breeders' Crown. And there's just so much satisfaction and prestige that goes into winning a Breeders' Crown.
And there's a lot of the, hard work that goes into putting on the Breeders' Crown. Hoosier Park has done a tremendous job. This is the 3rd time they've hosted it. Last night we had 4 really nice races for the 2-year-olds. What were your impressions on last night?
I was really happy with last night. We had a couple of upsets. The racing was great. The handle was great. We were up over our 2020 Friday night Breeders' Crown. And they do a really good job. They're great people to work with, and it's a pleasure to come out here, and they just try so hard to do everything right.
And we're halfway through it tonight. Unfortunately, the rain is starting to fall a little bit, but so far tonight, how is it going?
Oh, it's going great. The racing has just been tremendous. Horses, that long stretch, horses coming from everywhere down the lane in a number of the races. Sylvia Hanover's, I'm a big fan of hers. She's so much fun to watch. So, very happy the way the races are going, and they're wagering on them, and that's what we want to do.
Plenty of wagering opportunities. And one thing I really love about Hoosier Park here is it's so family oriented. There's people out here just enjoying the races, and it's so nice to see that.
Yes, and they cultivate that throughout the year. They want, families. They had their fright night here the other night, which was really well attended, and they really try and accommodate not only the horse player, but the fans and families that come out as well.
And we had the charity challenge yesterday. They ended that. It was a very nice thing to give back to charities that were local here in the state of Indiana.
Yes, Marvin Katz had a vision for the Breeders' Crown Charity Challenge, and it's just gone beyond our expectations. There's no question. We've given out $1.6 million since it was started in 2019, $200,000 this year, thanks to all the folks out here in Indiana. They just did a tremendous job, and it's for worthwhile charities and local charities that in this area, and I think that does nothing but build goodwill.
Absolutely, and it does good for the horsemen as well, giving back to the charities. John, thanks for the time, and best of luck, the rest of the night with the Breeders' Crown.
Thanks a lot, Jessica.
We'll send it back to you guys at the desk in New York.
Jess, thank you so much. So great to get a chance to hear from John, of course, now president and CEO of the Hamiltonian Society. We talked about his accolades on the track, though.
Yeah, and a great ambassador for the sport, too. So you can't ask for anything more. John's doing a great job.
So wonderful to get a chance to hear from him. We'll meet the field for the Open Mares Pace Breeders' Crown Final, starting off with Max Contract.
So she ran off the gate last week, settled into that nice spot, charged up first over, rolled past Michaela. She's a horse who loves the longer stretch, so this track is perfect for her. She's got the rail tonight. She could be a factor with a trip. The one question that I have for her, though, is this is the toughest field she's faced than she has in her previous starts. And she had a couple of bouts of sickness this year, which she has seemed to bounce back from when she's come out of them. We'll see how it plays out for her tonight in this field.
Scott Zeron, driver, looking for another one. He's got 20-1 shot, silver label here.
Just ran terribly in that limb after establishing herself on the front end. I'm not sure what happened. She just leveled off and didn't really run at all. I mean, if you think she can rebound, you're going to get a good price tonight.
Da Barn Dogs Watchin'.
They're
That's
out
a fun
woofing.
name.
Yeah. Hasn't really shown much recently. They better get the dogs. So coming out with this horse run a little bit faster. She'll be a long shot tonight.
Is the 4 Marlowe Hanover?
Yeah, it's the best running against lesser. She did find a way to sneak into the finals tonight, though. She's well posted. She could sneak a price maybe at a long shot looking here.
Taking attention 3-1, the 5 Kobe's Gigi is next.
Yeah, the blinders went on this horse, and she was sharp. I think Dexter had to pull out of the pocket and just take over because she was just too revved up, so we'll see what happens. She drew away nice and was under wraps. She's got something left for tonight. She's well posted.
Dexter done seven victories last night. Here's the 6th drama act.
A little bit further back last time out than she normally is on the smaller tracks. It wasn't a bad effort for this millionaire. I just wonder sometimes on the bigger track if she's a step behind.
Grace Hill, your favorite, now 6-5.
Yeah, this is my girl in here. She tried to close into a duller flow. It just didn't work out. She was in super form coming into this. I think it was just a victim of race circumstance. The gloves will be off tonight. She'll have a better trip.
Valor do Harris for all you Game of Thrones fans.
Yeah, spurted out to the front last week. Kobe Gigi took over, rolled away. She hung in there, though, finished second. She outruns her odds quite often. She could do it again tonight, but she's going to have to be used early, I think.
And Michaela behind Max Contract in that elimination.
I have a sweet spot for this horse. I always have, just because I like her name more than anything else. But she's not a bad horse, to be honest with you. She got away third last week, and she launched to take it over. She got it easy in that third quarter. She got collared by Max Contract. Now we'll see what happens from the second tier tonight. She's had her good moments, though. She's a neat little horse.
As mentioned, when we saw your Pick 5 ticket, you ended up singling Grace Hill. What was the thought process there in wanting to lean on that filly? Or mare, I should say.
I think that last week was a little bit of a test for Grace Hill. They took her further off the pace than she usually is, and I think they wanted to see how she was going to rate, how she was going to come from off the pace, and she did it nicely, don't get me wrong. So some people, she may say it's a dull effort, but she still came home in 26, and she ran 151. I think today the race is going to shape up a little bit better, and the gloves are going to be off, and she's going to rev up tonight. Be more aggressive.
Gabe and Jess still with us. A little bit of the rain falling. Guys, hope you found a dry spot and getting ready for this upcoming next race.
Yes, we were able to find a dry spot inside, which is great, of course. And I think this is going to be a really good race. It was scratched down to a field of 9, and so that means the favorite, Grace Hill, will start one more to the inside. But let's start with your top choice in here, Gabe. Max Contract. She was an elimination winner last time out. An unfortunate scratch sick at Dayton. She has been racing here at Hoosier Park, which is something I think is going to work to her advantage.
Yeah, she won as easy as she pleased last week, Jess. That's what I like so much. She just got to stalk, and she was wrapped up there. Won by open lengths. She loves a big track. In harness racing, yes, we race a mile distance, but we have different size tracks. So the mile track, you only go around one lap. Of course, if it's a half-mile track, you know, you go around 2 full laps. But that long stretch, she really, really likes. She takes to it. The longest stretch in the sport here, as we mentioned at Hoosier Park, I think that is to Max Contract's advantage.
And Grace Hill, of course, was the beaten favorite last time out in her elimination. I think it was a case of a scenario. She just got away too far back. But if you go back and watch the replay, when Dougie kicked the earplugs out, she really hit a whole new gear, and it really wasn't until about 100 feet from the wire. She now moves in one more slot. She is the defending champ from the Breeders' Crown last year.
Yeah, and she was just too far back there. When she finally did, find some room there to race, that party was well over. So I think Grace Hill, she's going to be much more forwardly placed tonight. She's going to be much more aggressively handled by her pilot, Doug McNair. We all know that. The public expects that as well. Jess, she's odds on at 4-5. So despite that loss, everyone's banging her once more.
And Kobe's Gigi was the other elimination winner last week. Of course, Missy Essex sends this daughter out, and she was just super strong. She made her way to the front there at the half after being parked and was under wraps at the wire, pacing in 150 and one home, 27 and one. Perfect middle pack post, and hey, Dexter done on the bike.
Yeah, and Dex has done no wrong. Post 5, the most successful post here at Hoosier Park as well, Jess. But yeah, I just thought she got a nice rating there. Once she made that lead, she was really unpressured. She had things her own way. I just don't think tonight with $400,000 on the line, things are going to play into her lap that much. No, I don't want to discount her, but I just think she's going to be tested a bit more. Question is, can she pass that test? And that's what we're about to find out.
And I want to ask you about Michaela. Second steer start for her. Of course, Nick Drennan and George Brennan team up here. And I've been listening to a few other people, handicappers, talk about this mare. You know, she has plenty of gate speed, don't get me wrong, but she always seems to do well when she tracks the horses down. And I think post 10 will be perfect for her.
I do as well. And I think that, you know, she could be following Max Contract, who has post 1. We talk about, you know, standardbreds like to track. They like to draft and have that cover. That would be very live cover for Michaela. She can follow Max Contract there, maybe kick off of her late, just as we saw Tactical approach to last race in the stretch. Last time, though, you know, she ended up on the lead, and she got gunned down there in the late stages by my top choice here, Max Contract, who you're going to see cruise on past. I just think we'll see a little bit different tactics here tonight, Jess. Second tier post, that's going to really obviously not allow her to go to the lead early on there, so we'll see if Brennan opts to move her to the lead at some point in the early stages of the race. I think he'll sit and track, though. I think after she, you know, stopped just a little bit there in the late stages, that he's going to reverse tactics tonight.
And another mare coming out of that race is Drama Act for Ronnie Burke and Yannick Gingras, 11 of 30 on this season. She kind of just saved ground. She paced home in 26-1. She has plenty of, you know, wins to her resume. It was a big step up for her back in against Grand Circuit Company last time out.
You know, it really is. Driver Yannick Gingras, one of the most aggressive in the sport. He has never seen a starting gate that he did not want to leave out of, so I expect Drama Act tonight could come off the wing swinging. She could get some forward positioning, but I still think she's going to have to step up, Jess, to deliver the knockout punch.
And you used the barn dogs watching out of the David Maroney barn, fifth in her elimination in the Breeders' Crown elimination last week with the Kobe's Gigi. What do you make of her?
Well, I think she's got a big shot. She's another that just got caught too far back last time. But this is a nice mare. Got to respect her credentials. 19 of 83 at her career. Though she's been primarily racing north of the border. It's a little bit of a step up for her, but I think she kicks home very well. I think from post 3, she'll get a nice tracking type trip. Do I think she can step up and win? Probably not, but I do think she could spice up her exotics underneath if we could land her somewhere on the ticket.
Gabe is going to put Max Contract as the top choice of his. I'm going to stick with Grace Hill. I'm going to look for her to rebound back off of that loss in the elimination. We'll send it back up to Michael Chamberlain for the call.
Diamond Creek starting gate now in motion for race 12. Grace Hill is 6-5, 9-5 on Max Contract. Here they come. They are up. Getting away well is Kobe's GG, Drama Act, and Grace Hill. And then fourth is Max Contract. Michaela moves into fifth from the second tier. And then it's Silver Label, the Barn Dogs watching outside that with Marlowe Hanover. And the early trailer is Valar Doharis. Opening quarter, 25-4. They're moving right along to the backstretch, and Grace Hill has now taken the lead. In the pocket second is Kobe's GG. Drama Act races third. Next is Max Contract, then Michaela. After that comes Silver Label with the Barn Dogs watching. And then comes Marlowe Hanover, and Valar Doharis remains the trailer. Approaching the half-mile pole, Grace Hill and Douglas McNair in front. By the half in 54-4. Second quarter, 29 seconds. Grace Hill leads the way onto the second turn. Kobe's GG, Drama Act, Max Contract moves to the outside, and then Michaela, and third over is Silver Label. Losing ground is the Barn Dogs watching on that turn, as Grace Hill now has Kobe's GG right alongside, Drama Act and Max Contract with Silver Label and Michaela. Three-quarter time, 123-3. Kobe's GG takes the lead. Grace Hill tries to fight back to the inside. Max Contract, Drama Act is moving down to the inside as Kobe's GG has a tenuous advantage. Max Contract is closing well, as is Drama Act up the inside, and Grace Hill. Max Contract, Drama Act at the inside. It's Max Contract to win. Rallying for second, Silver Label. Three-way photo for third. Drama Act, Kobe's GG, and Valar Doharis. The time was 1:50-2.
Max Contract, top pick by Gabe, getting the victory and backing up that win in the elimination last week.
Yeah, came calling first over, but then the 5, actually, Kobe's Gigi popped out of the pocket and gave some cover to Max Contract. I think that made a little bit of a difference, too, so she didn't have to take in some of the rain and some of the air as well, and kind of just flipped off cover there by Andy Miller, and she ran to the wire, though. It's not like she didn't, she paced to the wire, and she paced pretty fast there to get there in 150 and 2 because they went fast early, backed it down in the second quarter. But this was the toughest field that she's faced, and she made pretty easy work of them at the end of the day.
She had some questions to answer today as far as the class test was concerned, as far as the vet scratch for being sick back at the end of September, and she delivered with an emphatic effort.
Yeah, Team Orange Crush getting the job done. Julie and Andy Miller score the Breeders' Crown win with Max Contract.
Is that the nicknames?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Andy Miller's Orange Crush.
I did not know that yet. As far as Julie Miller, though, a nice training job by her. She's standing by with Jessica.
I don't know. Thank you, Acacia. Standing by with winning trainer Julie Miller. Max Contract gets the job done tonight. How are you feeling right now winning a Breeders' Crown?
Oh my gosh, unbelievable. I've always had faith in this mare. I've loved her since we bought her as a yearling. Jean, my partner, and I have just always supported her, and Andy gave her a great drive.
He really did. It was unfortunate she was scratch sick in Dayton. She come back and bounced back big last week in that elimination. You had to be confident coming into tonight.
Absolutely. Like you said, she got a little sick here after Hoosier. We took care of her like you're supposed to do your horse, and look at the results when that happens.
What happens when you put your horse first. Congratulations. I know it's a big team effort, big family effort for you guys.
Absolutely. It takes a whole team effort. Ernie's here, Kim, Romero's home, Tyler's at the Meadowlands. We got my daughter Olivia here tonight, so family effort indeed.
Congratulations. Go enjoy it.
Thank you, Jess.
There you have it. Max Contract takes the Breeders' Crown final for those open pacing mares. We'll send it back to the desk.
Jessica, thank you. Love seeing that emotion, how excited they are, a family affair. Team Orange Crush, I like that. But just so great to see, as you heard Julie say, that's what happens when you put the horse first and look after it, listen to your horse, and she rewarded the team with their patience.
Yeah, now 15 for 26 lifetime as well. And, she's had a little bouts of being sick this year on and off, and she's come back off of them really well because she came off that scratch at Dayton, won the elim, and won here tonight. So a nice Breeders' Crown win for good people and a good team.
Showed up when it counted, that's for sure, getting the Breeders' Crown victory in the open mares pace. An emotional win, family affair. Great to see it as this mare Max Contract gets the victory. We'll bring you prices and more when we come back. A lot more live racing action from the Breeders' Crown continuing after this.
Atlanta wins the Hamiltonian.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
The racing is fast and exciting at the picturesque Woodbine and Woodbine Mohawk Park racetracks in Ontario, Canada. Woodbine Standardbred, home of the Pepsi North America Cup, a summer classic.
Pebble Beach in Iran.
And Woodbine Thoroughbred, home of the historic King's Plate.
But the mighty filly has devastated them.
Full fields, exotic wagers, iconic events. Play Woodbine Thoroughbred and Woodbine Standardbred today at your favorite wagering location.
Premier Acres, located in northern Indiana, a premier breeding farm with state-of-the-art facilities and a team of dedicated caretakers. An impressive roster with some of the leading sires, including Temporal Hanover, Best in Show, Freaky Feet Pete, and more. Premier Acres, where winners are bred.
It is Sweet Lou in front. The one to knock off now strides away from Sing For Me George on the inside. Heading past 3/4. Forced 3 wide is a rock and roll dance, and he has work to do. 3/4 a dazzling 1:21 and 4. And look at Sweet Lou go. Sweet Lou has opened it up by 5, now 6, now 7, and he is putting on a show. A distant second, a rock and roll dance. Then Hurricane King Cole. Sweet Lou, how sweet it is! Sweet Lou rock 1:49 world record performance.
Sweet Lou, who was absolutely sensational on the track. That was the 2011 two-year-old colt pace. And Sweet Lou, the sire of tonight's big star we're looking forward to, Confederate.
Yeah, he's the sire of a lot of great horses, actually, that are out there. He's done himself proud in the breeding shed. He's got horses like Confederate, Geocentric, It's My Show, Cannibal, even Ammo, who we're going to see in the next race, too. So he's doing himself fine.
You love to see that legacy continue on in the breeding shed as well, especially when they're as talented as Sweet Lou is on the racetrack. Talking about talented, though, there is Max Contract, who you heard from trainer Julie Miller, always believed in this mare, always thought highly of her, and she delivered today. $5 winner Max Contract, 1-2-5-9, getting the victory here and a special win in the Breeders' Crown.
100% for great people that do a great job year in and year out around the country in Julie and Andy Miller. And I think really what helped Max Contract a little bit better was didn't have to go that first over grind when Kobe Gigi Pocket popped out of there, gave a little bit of cover, and Andy made the most of it here, turning off cover here, getting a 4-wide run down that long stretch, set up perfectly for that horse to get the job done. And a nice run, too, from your runner-up in here, Silver Label, who's going to split horses late under Scotty Z. That was a big race for that horse.
Max Contract, who had some questions to answer tonight, and she answered all of them with a nice victory in the Open Mares Trot. We turn our attention now to the 3-year-old Colts and Geldings 1 mile pace Breeders' Crown Final. This is the race that we've been talking about all day. As you can see, no surprise, Confederate 1-9 for the 3-year-old Pacers as he looks to make it 12 on the year, and he's just been absolutely sensational. We'll see if he can do it, as he is the #1 rated horse in North America right now, and rightfully so. There really seems to be just one thing that's missing from that impressive resume, and that's a Breeders' Crown victory. Tonight, I'll go for the big one.
He is no rebel. Confederate, however, possesses the grit, determination, and purpose of any soldier, as the sport's top-ranked horse must vanquish 9 rivals to obtain its first Breeders' Crown triumph at Harrah's Hoosier Park. Conditioned this year by Brett Pelling and steered by Hall of Famer Tim Tetrick, the 3-year-old son of Sweet Lou enters the $600,000 Breeders' Crown Final for sophomore male pacers on an 8-race win streak after capturing his elimination with a blistering rally.
Confederate now coming on to take the lead late, and Confederate has won.
Owned and bred by Diamond Creek Farm, Confederate did not commence his career with a bang. He was 3rd in his debut in the Hoosier State in 2022. When he appeared in Kentucky, Confederate demonstrated he had plenty in his arsenal by reeling off 5 straight victories, including the Kentucky Sire Stakes Championship and his Breeders' Crown elimination. The colt lost by the slimmest of margins as the heavy favorite to long shot Ammo in the $600,000 final at Woodbine Mohawk Park.
Fall just short. Ammo with a Breeders' Crown blockbuster score.
Like any warrior, Confederate kept his eye on the prize. He returned as a sophomore with a triumph, annexed his North America Cup elimination with ease, and suffered a setback with a nose loss to world champion It's My Show in Canada's richest race for standardbreds, the North America Cup Final.
A late push from Confederate. It's My Show wins the big show.
Confederate marched through the ranks with triumphs in the Meadowlands Pace, the Max Hempt Memorial, the Cane Pace, and the Kentucky Sire Stakes Final.
It's all Confederate in the Cane Pace.
But it was his performance on September 4th in the Kentucky Sire Stakes where Confederate absolutely destroyed his competition with ease. He became the swiftest 3-year-old in the history of harness racing with a jaw-dropping 146 in 1 mile.
And Confederate here down at the line. Confederate 146 in 1, a world record for Confederate.
He has dominated a division loaded with talent ever since.
Confederate digs it here to win.
The world champion now prepares to avenge his narrow losses on the Grand Circuit and collect his 17th victory from 20 pari-mutuel miles. Will he gun down ammo and It's My Show to collect his first crown? The odds are in his favor to reign supreme and defeat the opposition to become a Breeders' Crown champion and one of the most explosive pacers in recent history.
He's going for history tonight. Confederate, who has had an absolutely sensational year, a sensational career, as he looks to finish on a high note. Could potentially be his final year of racing, but as mentioned, that Breeders' Crown, the big one that he's really gunning for and looking to add to that resume.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that he's been missing and lacking is that crown win. And when you think about it, off that career debut where he finished 3rd, he's been no worse than 2nd. 16 of those races have been wins, and those 2 losses were dirty noses. He could have won both those races. So when you put it all together, this is a special horse. And if this truly is, and they did make the announcement that this is more than likely his last year of racing, his last year of racing and potentially his last race, he needs to go out on a high note, get that crown, and just solidify the legacy.
See if he can do it tonight. He's been such a fun horse to follow, owned and bred by Diamond Creek Racing. Let's go down to Gabe.
Thanks so much, Acacia. And I am standing by here with Adam Bowden, the owner of Diamond Creek Farm. And we're going to get to Confederate here very shortly, Adam. But you've got a trio in here. Cannibal starts from post 1, Confederate starts from post 4, and Command's out in post 8. So they're all homebred colts. Has to be pretty special to have 3 make this Breeders' Crown final.
I mean, if you have 1, it's awesome, but to have 3, it's even more special. And you know, like you said, homebreds, and you know, it's a labor of love. They're all basically from the same family.
And you've got 3 in here. You're one of the largest commercial breeders in standardbred racing. What goes into the decision of who to sell, who to keep? Who dictates that, and how do you come to those decisions?
It's my decision, really, at the end of the day. And we buy mares specifically for each of the 2 groups. So when we go to the sales or yearling sales, we buy mares for the homebred group and for the sale group.
All right, well, let's get down to business here. Let's talk about the horse that we're all talking about here. Confederate, the huge favorite here. How's he coming into the race? We knew he had a little physical issue there. He had some stitches and, you know, was a narrow winner here last week. How do you think he's coming into tonight?
I think everybody's happy. Pelling's happy. Tim seems happy. I was out there on Thursday and watched him train, and I think we're a full bore.
All right, so I'm assuming he had a good week coming into this start.
Yeah, pretty healthy and happy right now.
And last year, he's 16 of 19 in his career. One of his only 3 losses happened to be in the Breeders' Crown Finals. A 2-year-old, how big would it be to avenge that loss?
1 better this year. That's what we're looking for.
And talk to us about the future of Confederate. We all want to know how many more times can we see him? Is he possibly coming back to race next year? What's going to happen after tonight?
No, he'll stand, but you know, he's a great horse, and probably showcase him a couple more times before the end of the year.
TVG possibly against older horses in November?
Yeah, we'll see what happens tonight, but yeah.
Okay, well, we'll look for Confederate in that. You've got Cannibal from post 1. He's the second choice. So if Confederate happens to come up a little short, you've got a live second choice here. He was the Adios champion. What do you make of his chances?
No, he's done everything right, and we've kind of kept them apart for this reason. And I think a stallion deal's on the horizon for him as well.
Okay, and likely as a 3-year-old be his last campaign.
Yeah, he'll race a couple more times after this, but he'll wrap it up at the end of the year.
All right, that's Adam Bowden, guys, the Diamond Creek Farm, owner, breeder of 3 in here. Of course, the headliner, Confederate, the huge favorite on the board.
Adam certainly has some rooting interest in this upcoming race, keeping his cards close to his chest. But there he is, Confederate, 11 for 12 this year, looking to avenge that defeat in the Breeders' Crown as a 2-year-old and pick up his first Breeders' Crown victory tonight. We'll see if he can get the job done. He's been sensational. He's coming up next after this.
The standardbred is athletic, strong, and sturdy. Their minds intelligent, their hearts like no other. They pour their all into every jog and race. They are warriors, they are champions, they are heroes. When their time at the track ends, it's just the beginning of a new chapter. But we must help write these stories as they transition from racehorse to riding horse. We owe it to them. the horses that give their all, to provide the time and tools they need to succeed, to bridge the gap between the track and a bright future, to find their perfect partner to help them realize their full potential. Help us help standardbreds beyond the track at newvocations.org.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
And it's combustion. Stockade Sealster didn't take the backfield very far. Here on the outside, rushing up off cover now comes Handle Like a Porsche. And off his cover, here comes Confederate firing. Confederate on the outside is blasting up now for Tetrick. And Confederate is gobbling up Racetrack with every single stride. Ammo got an opening up the inside. Ammo looking for a monstrous upset. Confederate on the outside is going to fall just short. Ammo!
Ammo defeating Confederate in the 2022 Breeders' Crown 2-year-old colt Pace. They'll rematch again today. However, Paul, Confederate is now 3-5 on the morning line, and Ammo is 20-1.
What a difference a year makes,
That's
right?
right. Now 1-5 and 99-1 currently on the board. What a difference a year makes indeed, as Confederate just short in that 2-year-old colt Pace will look to make amends in this year's 3-year-old edition. Here's another one for Diamond Creek, though. We learned about Cannibal, and he certainly has his own accolades to speak to.
Yeah, he won the Adios. I mean, he's no bum, but when you look at his stablemate, you're like, wow, he's seconds here, but he really isn't. He's a good horse. He wound up parked early, pressing last week, made the top. Yannick asked him to pace pretty hard in the lane. He still got ran down by El Rey. He's got the inside post tonight. I think he's going to go from there.
Second behind Confederate in the Elim. Here's Stockade Sealster.
You know, he was parked for quite a while until he cleared. That half was fast, 54-4. Tried to catch a third quarter breather. Then they went into sprint mode. He fought hard, though. He's got to make up some ground on Confederate. But let me tell you, I like this horse. He's a nice horse. We're fighting him.
With a big price as well. Here's El Rey.
We've seen him earlier in the year. He's fresh off being purchased recently at an auction. Obviously, he's paid dividends now for that new ownership group. He's, like everybody else, has been a few steps behind this guy, Confederate.
Speaking of, there he is, 1-9 right now on Confederate.
What else can you say at this point about him? He's a champion, and Timmy wasn't in a hurry to move with him. He just got some early position and moved with purpose in that Elim and got the job done.
A hometown horse. Here's Coach Stefanos.
So he was really good last week. That was a super effort to run down a loose on the lead horse in It's My Show. That third quarter was kind of flat in 28. He was second over, didn't make up much ground. He ran pretty well, though, at the end of the day. He's a hometown horse with a big shot at the money.
Hunting the last dollar. Big price.
Wound up sitting pocket. He was a huge long shot in that Confederate Elim. He had some fight and some punch, but it's still not enough to threaten Confederate. He's going to be a long shot, obviously, again.
Another long shot. Admiral Hill is next.
Set up shop at the back during his Elim. Wound up making that one move. Got held up a bit in traffic. Kind of ran on well when he finally got some daylight. Be a beaten third in there. He's a long shot again. Pretty much the same kind of trip expected.
The third one for Diamond Creek. Here's Command.
Paced away a little slow from the wide draw last week. That's fine. Sometimes he's not that fast off the wings anyway. The pace didn't work in his favor, especially that middle half. He's a long shot in here. We'll see if he can get a piece, though.
Here's It's My Show, the jug winner.
Yeah, rolled right to the top in his limb, had things pretty much his own way. Back down to the half mile. Looks to be pulling away at the top of the stretch, but he got collared late and blown away late by the eventual winner. It was a clear second. We'll see what happens tonight.
And the horse that beat Confederate as a 2-year-old in the Breeders' Crown, Ammo.
Rode the pylons, like we've talked about, a lot of those long shots have done here at Hoosier to get themselves in. He paced up for third, now draws post 10, that second tier. He's a little behind some of the main contenders. We'll see what happens.
1-5 on Confederate. Gabe and Jessica, we've been talking about him all night and very much looking forward to seeing what he can do on the track here today.
I think everybody is looking forward to seeing what he's going to do on the track here tonight. You know, Gabe, there were 3 eliminations, going into this race last weekend, and that was really cool to see because a lot of maybe people were afraid of Confederate to face him off, and just a phenomenal horse he has been. We both put him on the top of our ticket. He's so versatile. We just saw him out there warming up. Couldn't look any better, even under the sloppy conditions.
Yeah, you just cannot say enough good things about Confederate, Jess. I think he is the prohibitive horse of the year in the standardbred sport. It was great to catch up with Adam Bowden there for a moment. It was great to hear that, he plans to race Confederate hopefully a couple more times. We're just one of those horses that you really feel honored every time you get to see him step on the track and do his work. So I'm sure, at some point he's going to move on to his next career. He is going to be a superstar stallion prospect, but he does move on to his next career. But for right now, we get to enjoy him hopefully tonight and a couple more times.
After that Tattersall's win in Lexington, I thought that was going to be the day that they were roughing him up, and they roughed him up, and he just prevailed. He was a winner by 2 lengths, 48-2, home 26-4. And I loved the comment Timmy T gave after the race. I love him. I freaking love him. And I think everybody in the sport of harness racing does.
Yeah, and he stepped up and passed every test. There are some wise guys walking around this building tonight, Jess, that I thought to. He was only a length winner last time out. We're used to seeing Confederate just dominate and just destroy fields. Maybe not quite as overwhelming last out. So, some people, are maybe taking a swing against him tonight that I've seen. That's really the first, doubt I've heard anyone having Confederate all season. I just could not do so. I think they just did what they had to do last week. We do have a sloppy track here. We'll see how that affects it. Obviously, when you're racing off the back, as Confederate does many times, you get the material of the track sort of start to fly up in your face, both horse and driver. So we'll see, how that affects him. But, I just think he's passed every test. It would shock me to see him go down to defeat.
The hometown horses have been well represented this weekend. Coach Stefanos, huge effort in his elimination last weekend, 50-3, a big last quarter. He tracked down a horse that was really good in It's My Show as well.
You know what? 24 starts of his career, Jess. He has never left Hoosier Park. He's 12 of 24. He's made over $625,000. Trace Tetrick here, the perennial leading driver at Hoosier Park. He steps up to the big stage here. You're going to see him absolutely explode in his elimination race last week. He was on 24-2 in that final quarter. That's the fastest final quarter I've ever seen. You see him just outpacing his competitors there. So this is a horse that knows this track. I think it does give him a little bit of advantage. Trace Tetrick is raced here nightly for years. So, he's got an edge when it comes to this track as well. And you know what Trace would like to do? He'd like to follow his brother Tim on the big favorite here, Confederate. If Confederate races off the pace, Coach Stefanos could try and track him, get that nice, lively cover trip. And who knows, could he pop off his back and make him earn in the late stages?
The Tetrick brothers will go at it from post 4, 5, and of course, there's plenty of horses underneath of them as well. You used Cannibal from the rail.
Yeah, he adds late 6 and 9 for the first time. As Paul mentioned, the Adios champion. He's 11-15 this season. As Adam Bowden mentioned, at Diamond Creek, Owen and Britt, they tried to sort of map out a schedule for him where he dodged Confederate. Yeah. They didn't really have to want to hook up friendly fire, so to speak. But obviously here at the big stage, the Breeders' Crown, they're going to do so. You've got Yannick Gingras on the bike, inside post. He'll be aggressive in the early stages.
We're excited here to see what Confederate can do. Acacia, Paul, we'll send it back to you.
Can't wait to see it. He's 1-5, guys, right now. Paul, any final thoughts?
I'm all about the big favorite in here, Confederate. I want to see him go and win that Breeders' Crown Championship. And a little Stockade Sealster for me underneath the two. I think this horse has a lot of fight in him, and I think he's going to pace well. And he didn't run bad against Confederate last time out. And honestly, the tracks at Lexington were very fast, so the people that are saying that Confederate might be a little bit tired off of that came back here, ran a little bit slower, but he still got the job done, and he is still way the horse to beat.
Can he get that Breeders' Crown victory? You're watching coverage of the Breeders' Crown on FS2. It's time for the 3-year-old Pace in the Breeders' Crown final. Here's Michael Chamberlain with the call.
They are up. Fast starts for Hunting the Last Dollar, Command, and It's My Show. And it's 3 lengths already back to Stockade Sealster. Cannibal is next. Confederate outside that. Next is Ammo with El Rey as the field now goes on to that first turn. Moving next in 9th is Coach Stephanos. And 10th and last is Admiral Hill. First quarter 25-3. They race through the raindrops onto the back stretch. Moving up on the outside, Stockade Sealster, right with It's My Show. Next in 3rd is Command. 2.5 lengths back to Hunting the Last Dollar. Confederate is next in 5th. After that, it's Cannibal with Ammo to the inside. Then on the outside is El Rey 8th. And the last 2 are Coach Stephanos and Admiral Hill. Half mile 53-4. Second quarter 28-1. Stockade Sealster, It's My Show. Here comes Confederate, who's now moving up on the outside. And Confederate is into 3rd. Command is 4th. Following Confederate is Cannibal, who has got that live cover as they now arrive at the top of the stretch. 3 quarters, 122-1. Confederate outside of Stockade Sealster, and Confederate has taken the lead. Next in 3rd is Cannibal. On the far outside, trying to rally, is Coach Stephanos. Inside the final 1/8 of a mile, Confederate opening up the lead now to 4 lengths. It is Confederate. Isn't he magnificent? Confederate wins by 5. Stockade Sealster 2nd. Then Cannibal and El Rey 148-1.
Things don't always work out as planned in the sport of horse racing, but sometimes it's like a storybook, like a fairy tale, and that's what the journey has been with Confederate. A dazzling performance to get his Breeders' Crown win.
Yeah, and you know what? He made it look easy, and he did it well, and he strided and paced strong to the wire. And let me tell you, it didn't early on seem like that Tim didn't mind being as far back as he was with the levers that were there. They were taking up a lot of kickback from that sloppy track. He was able to get a nice, comfortable first over journey. And Cannibal, the other Diamond Creek racing horse, followed him to the outside. But when it was all said and done, it was all about Confederate putting a cap on a very big year and a deserved champion and a deserved Breeders' Crown win.
He's now 12 for 13 in 2023, gave a remarkable achievement, and watching a horse like this, it's really just a pleasure.
Yeah, it really is, Acacia. What an explosive effort here. I mean, just wrapped up. If there were any questions about that narrow margin last week, there should not be any. This, despite the conditions, you don't have to be a detective to tell that they are deteriorating at a rapid pace here as this night goes forward. Confederate just set off that torrid tempo first up and just exploded by late. This was really just a Saturday night stroll here for Confederate, and he just adds another chapter to his storied career, guys. He goes 17 of 20 with a win tonight. He's going to be just shy of $2 million in his career, and let's just hope the connections decide to race him back. Let's hope we get another look at Confederate before he's on to his next career as a stallion.
Oh, we certainly hope so, as you see Tim Tetrick giving some well-deserved pats to Confederate. And, Paul, you look back at last year and what Bulldog Hanover did for the sport of harness racing, and how he captured people's attention, brought so much excitement, people came out to see him, and then you see him retire, and it's a bit of a shame for him to move on. And then you kind of see a horse like Confederate take up the mantle, being as dominant as he is this year, and stepping into those big hoof prints.
Yeah, and people always gravitate to these kind of horses, and it's a lot easier. We always tell people all the time, it's so much easier to fall in love with horses like these because they run weekly or monthly. They're always there for you. And a horse like this, I mean, these horses don't come along all that often where they're special enough to, win as many races as they do and battle the big dances as they do. And I mean, you look at this horse, I mean, after that one debut that he had, he's done no worse than being beaten by noses the 2 times he lost. Everything else has been wins, major stakes wins, a Breeders' Crown win, great for Brett Pelling, great for Diamond Creek Racing, and also great for Tim Tetrick.
Came up just short as a 2-year-old in the Breeders' Crown, vindicates that with a decisive victory this year as a 3-year-old. Confederate, he was the star coming in, and he has cemented himself as the big star of the evening. Prices and reactions when we come back. The Breeders' Crown coverage on FS2.
It's still Temporal Hanover. Temporal Hanover will take the field by 3/4 of a length.
You know, you do, takes the Peter Houghton Memorial. Sharton, a repeater in the Lady Liberty, a world record performance.
Lion Sentinel wins off a ground-saving trip. In the She's a Great Lady, and she has set the stakes track and Canadian record tonight, the fastest freshman filly.
Only the best horses become part of the Country Lane Standardbreds lineage. There is pride in marrying the nature of exceptional bloodlines with the nurturing of our own hands. Every one of Country Lane Standardbreds horses is specially chosen to follow in the footsteps of winners. These horses are family. We personally own our mares and stallions. They are given personal care and affection. Our lineage goes on to race with the best.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races. It's spooky season. Our program brought to you by Naira Bets. You can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get started at nairabets.com or download the app today. Maybe the rain is falling, but Paul, as our friend Richard Migliori always says, it's always warm and dry in the winner's circle.
100%. There's always happy faces in the winner's circle at any track.
And that's where Confederate is, and he has just been so dominant, so impressive. $2.60 winner. Good call on Stockade Sealster in second. Driver Tim Tetrick, though, standing by with Jess.
Thanks, Acacia. Confederate put up a big performance here tonight. Timmy, just talk about how special he is.
Oh, man, he almost brings tears in my eyes. He's so cool, and the way the race was shaping up early, I had to get out of there and get up, because a couple times I've gotten beat just too far back, and you know they were going enough, and I got to set a long time, so it was really good.
Plenty of levers to your outside, a quick opening fraction there, and then when you just ask him to go, he hits another gear.
Yeah, he's so special. He's just so fast and gritty and wants to win, and I can't say enough good things about him. He's just awesome.
I remember you saying in Lexington, I love him. I freaking love him. And I think the whole sport of harness racing loves what he does.
It's amazing. You know, he loves to pass horses, and he's super fast. He's got every attribute to be that he is a great one. He is a great one.
Good job and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
There you have it. Confederate takes a Breeders' Crown final for those 3-year-old pacing colts. We'll send it back to you guys.
Adding that Breeders' Crown to his resume, pretty much the one thing that was missing for Confederate. I love what Tim said. He loves to pass horses, and he does exactly that. You could see it. He just said, here he comes, looming up on the outside and pulled away from this field.
And made it look easy in conditions that have gotten worse as the night has gone on. So you just never know how you're going to take that kickback. You never know if you're going to be able to get out. You never know if you're going to be able to make that one move and time it right, or how your horse is going to react. And boy, he reacted just fine. And like Timmy said, he had to go. So
Confederate with the big win. Great to see him put that special bow on this year. Like Gabe said, hopefully we get a chance to see him a few more times this year, but getting that elusive Breeders' Crown victory. Special story. But we're not done as far as the Breeders' Crown action is concerned. It's the Open Trot coming up next in the Breeders' Crown final. And Logan Park, 9-5. Al Raja won it. Even money right now on the board. You've got some nice horses that are getting ready to set out for this Open Trot.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit more wide open than the board says. I mean, I don't know. I'm an It's Academic guy from the inside post there, from post number 2. So we'll see what happens with him getting that draw. But you know what? I think that a couple of horses on the outside, Al Raja 1 got a shot in this race. Also take a look at Logan Park as well, who's been in really good form. So I think it's a lot tighter than the board says early on.
Logan Park, who really has been dominant, and he's just been so durable now. A 5-year-old gelding, 23 for 62, and plenty of other in-the-money finishes as well.
Yeah, and he's done a lot of good work up at Woodbine, but he did come down here to Hoosier and run well in his last start. So we'll see how this all plays out, because I think there's going to be some mixing up in here again. I think we're going to see a little bit of a fast pace and some horses closing late.
We'll see if we can get the job done. Pretty wide open. A very interesting race coming up in the Open Trot. Upset-minded Logan Park, It's Academic, and several other big names will go head-to-head in the Open Trot coming up. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races. More after this.
Brittany Farms has a storied history of producing champions, pacers and trotters, fillies and colts. Recent stars include Better Swish and Pebble Beach, bred, raised, and sold by Brittany Farms. Both won more than $1 million and Dan Patch Awards, and for added value, were syndicated for lucrative stallion careers. When planning for the future, let the past be your guide.
In Indiana, we grow it. And when it comes to harness racing, the Indiana program has grown to become one of North America's very best. Breed Development and the ISA have been there every step of the way by overseeing and promoting the Indiana sired racing, breeding, and stakes programs at every level. We're working to ensure a right future for all of us.
They reached 3/4 and won 22-4, racing for a home in the Breeders' Crown Final. Perfect Sting has the lead. Southwind Gendry to the outside, and here comes J.K. going west, angling 3 wide with less than 1/8 of a mile to go. Perfect Sting, the streaker to the line. Southwind Gendry, J.K. going west, and a fast closing is Summa Cum Laude to the wire. Tied to the line may have been Perfect Sting, but it's too close. 150-2 in the Breeders' Crown Final. Photo for win.
It
was Perfect Sting, but it was also summa cum laude in the 2020 two-year-old Pace, the only dead heat victory in the history of the Breeders' Crown.
You think about that and the long history of all these races to just have one single dead heat. Your boy Purple Jesus on the inside, and the White Knight Brian
I love
Sears
the nickname.
just getting up in that last stride so they could dead heat. But they were two very good horses that threw down in that race.
Pretty incredible, too. And I remember we had some fun talking about Perfect Sting, the standardbred. Well, there's also a very talented and well-recognized thoroughbred named Perfect Sting.
It's funny how that works out, right? When you see the names that cross each other, and then you try and figure out, okay, well, who did what and whose accomplishments were better and all that stuff. But both good horses.
Absolutely. Love getting a chance to look back on some of those big moments throughout the history of the Breeders' Crown. The only dead heat in history took place in 2020. We have the Open Trot coming up next, going a mile for race 14 coming up. Again, dealing with sloppy conditions there with the rain coming down at Harris Hoosier Park, and a pretty wide open and very interesting race for these older horses.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Al Raja 1, I mean, legitimately should be the favorite in here, just simply based on getting into this race with the bye look great, winning that Maple Leaf Trot. And they've taken this time with this horse who's had some issues, and you know, it's kind of a horse that just doesn't give you the feel when you're racing on a helmet, but the minute that you flip him off, I think that he just takes off, you know, and he trots up a storm and he's able to get the job done. So I think a deserved favorite in here, you just want post 9 with a horse like this.
This is in up at Woodbine on September 2nd, where Al Raja 1 beat It's Academic. They finished 1-2. What were your thoughts on this performance?
So this was a great race, though, in the Maple Leaf Trot for this horse. Actually, you know, had to make a grind to get into the flow, and then once again, when tipped off of the helmet, this horse trotted on strongly down the lane, and you're going to see this horse put in a good, solid run to beat a horse in It's Academic, who, I mean, it's a solid horse. I mean, it's not like we're talking about a horse who doesn't run very well.
He shows up sometimes in those big races.
Yeah, in big races.
We'll have a couple other horses rematching. Logan Park and Southwind Tyrion will rematch as we take a look at their elimination.
Logan Park, I thought, got the run of the race here, too. Went to the top and led them from start to finish. You know, this horse has been good all year and has handled the ship down from Canada pretty easily. Sometimes that's hard to do for these horses when they've had their one surrounding for a long time. They ship down to Hoosier. They find themselves now with a long stretch. This horse ran well, and this horse is got a very sneaky look in here tonight.
Could be very interesting. We'll see how it pans out as it's the Open Trot coming up next, again for the older horses. Meeting the field, starting off with the 1 Delayed Hanover.
Made an inside move. We've heard that refrain before, to run forth, get themselves in. He was a big long shot last week against bigger horses in here that he's been a step or two behind. Be a big price again, as we can see. He'll look to make one run at it late.
We just talked about him. Here's It's Academic.
That was a merry-go-round race last time out for that limb, and moved out in the stretch. Wasn't really worked on all that hard. I think it's got plenty left in the tank for tonight. It's my top pick. I think it's a major player at 6-1.
Southwind Tyrion looking to turn the tables on Logan Park.
Yeah, set that pocket right behind Logan Park, was pretty comfortable. Dove to the inside, ran onto the wire. I mean, only missed by a neck in there. Got another good inside post. Maybe pocket up again, trot to the wire strong, get a win.
Taking some attention, 5-1 on the board right now. Next will be a big long shot Pretender.
Yeah, pretended to actually be able to want to try and sustain that run last
there.
time out. Yeah, see that? It wasn't that funny, but I mean, you know, when the real running started, he was a long shot last week. He's a long shot again tonight.
Next will be a big player in very good form, Logan Park.
Got a good post tonight. I think the tactics are relatively going to be the same, going to be forwardly placed here. And handled the ship down well, ran well, has a sneaky look, and has a really good lifetime record, 23 for 62.
Beat a couple of the other big contenders pretty handily in that elimination, and we'll try to do so again tonight. 2-1 on the board. Here's the 6 loved by the masses.
Got into that outer flow last time out behind Kildare King. Went nowhere after that, though. Long shot here tonight.
Keeping with the long shot theme, next will be the number 7, Take All Comers.
It's interesting about this horse because this horse got a little headstrong, got like revved up a little bit, bump drafting with Pretender, and then had to get boxed in. Kildare King came to the outside, took the inside route, ran on pace, trotted on, excuse me, got past for 4th late. I wonder if the headstrong thing took a little bit out of him.
Yeah, certainly is fighting his rider if that's the case. Here's the 8, Kildare King.
Hasn't shown much against these types recently. I'm not sure I want to recommend this horse on the win end. Draws outside again and was last in the elim.
Has to overcome the post, but he's even money. Al Raja won.
Yeah, I mean, legitimate to be even money in here just based on the body of work that this horse has done. I just like that they've taken the time with this horse off the injury last season. He's a deserved favorite. He just has that outside draw.
And from the 2nd tier, here's Rattle My Cage.
Rattle My Cage, another Sponstead entrance. Got to buy into tonight's final. It's always been in contention no matter what, the race or the post, simply because he's tactical. Be placed anywhere, can trot on. We'll see what kind of trip this horse gets from that 2nd tier. And Ake is using Lasix, and that's meaningful because he doesn't do that often, so maybe that will move this horse up tonight at a huge number.
3 in this race, trained by Ake Svanstead. He'll be driving the 3, Southwind Tyrion. You can sign up with Naira Bets and get a $25 free bet plus a $200 deposit match bonus just in time for the Breeders' Cup World Championships. Will be taking place next week. Use promo code CUP25 to experience the excitement. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Sign up at nairabets.com for your free $25 bet and $200 deposit match. Even money now on Al Raja 1, but some of these horses have taken turns beating each other. For more, let's head down to Jessica and Gabe.
Yes, thanks, Acacia. Interesting race we have here, Gabe, because Al Raja 1 took the bye last week from the elimination to make it into the final. Ended up drawing the outside post 1. He's the even money favorite, but as a horseman and somebody who likes to play the races, I love horses coming into the race sharp, and that's exactly what Logan Park is doing right now after winning the elimination last week.
Yeah, he's won 4 in a row, in fact, Jess, and I just think in terms of tactics, he's going to get the jump of the 9 Al Raja 1. And what you mentioned there, Al Raja 1 did opt to take the bye for this Breeders' Crown final instead of racing the elimination. And what that did, if you win your elimination, you get to draw for post 1 through 5. So Logan Park opted to race in the elimination. He won. He did draw post 5 here. You know, Al Raja 1, unfortunately, taking that bye, you know, he gets a bad luck assignment here from post 9. He's not quite the fastest horse we see off the gate regardless. So I think he's just going to have his work cut out for him. And I think from a tactical standpoint, the 5 Logan Park may just get off the wings here and have a little bit of the edge over him, at least in being forwardly placed.
Aki is having a very good weekend here. The Breeders' Crown Finals, of course, he trains Al Raja 1, but he also trains and will be driving the 3 Southwind Tyrion. He was racing, you know, very well at the age of 2, had to miss his 3-year-old season, lightly raced at 4. He's come back as a 5-year-old, 3 of 10 on the season. I'm just a fan of this horse because he always seems to do it with some class.
Yeah, he really does, Jess. And I want to talk about both those Sponstead tradies. Of course, Southwind Tyrion and the 9 Al Raja 1 that we did mention, you know, it's taking a little the worst from post 9. I want to talk about Al Raja 1 briefly first. This is a horse that debuted. He was bred in Italy. That's actually where he raced prior to a couple of seasons ago. He's only made 6 starts stateside. How about this, Jess? He debuted in the U.S. July 2nd of 2022. So over a year ago, 18-1 in his U.S. debut. He upset his stablemate there. He was heavily favored, Ecurie D. We haven't seen him in the previous 5 starts above even money. So the fans all locked on Al Raja 1. You continue to see him take all the tote action. Appears the favorite at 6-5. And as you mentioned, the other Sponstead trade here, Southwind Tyrion, you know, he's got some good early speed. I think Sponstead's going to utilize that. I think he'll get off the gate. I just see him as a fringe player. You know, my question is he good enough to step up and get the job done? You know, we have not seen him knock off Stakes Company this year. He's 3 of 10, but he's been in against, you know, lesser overnight company when we see him step up and win. You know, he's been a little bit of a fringe player. He's been close, but he's just yet to knock down the door and step up and get a win. So, you know, for win purposes, you know, I think 3 Southwind Tyrion, maybe just a notch below the 2 that are taking the majority of the steam here in race 14.
You know, in that debut in 2022 with Al Raja 1, it was at the Meadowlands, and I talked to Dexter before the race, and he said he qualified him. He never sat behind a horse at the time who had such a quick turn of foot. He's a big horse. He's a strong horse, and I think he'll thrive in the long stretch.
Yeah, I think so. You know, it's just going to be, how's he going to have to do it? Post, I do think he'll try and leave out here to get a little position. I just don't think you can take back. You've got a horse in the 2nd tier, so I don't think he's going to want to get away 10th. That'll leave himself just a little too much work to do. So I think he'll leave the gate, try for some positioning. You know, the question for me is, Jess, if we know Logan Park, we think is going to be on the lead from post 5, is Al Raja 1 good enough to leave the gate, then move again down the backstretch and sort of attack first up there uncovered. You know, he's taking a lot the worst of it in terms of trip. Is he good enough to overcome taking the worst of it here if a horse like Logan Park ends up on the lead?
A horse that's had a breakthrough season. It's Academic, 8 of 16 on the season. Last year he had 3 wins, but they didn't come against Stakes Company, but he held his own in Stakes Company. He had to overcome bad posts, bad trips, but he was always in the hunt. This year he's been phenomenal. I think he tried the all-time trotting track record here in the Caesars Trotting Classic. No luck in the Alarage. Maybe that's because he was taken off of Lasix, back on Lasix in the Breeders' Crown elimination. A very good effort there. He gets post 2 to work with, which is a good draw off of losing in the elimination.
Yeah, you just cannot discount this guy. You know, he's been there every dance all season, all the big money events, and he finishes very close. You know, he's been on the board 14 of 16 this year, Jess. The 2 It's Academic. He's made over $775,000, and he goes for the barn of the sport's all-time leading trader. We talk about Ron Burke. He was 1, 2, 3 at a Breeders' Crown championship here last night. He's got over 14,000 wins, over $300 million in purse earnings. Yes, for one trainer alone. That is the sport's all-time leader. He's rewrote every book when it comes to the records here in the sport. Trader Ron Burke. So you never discount anything from his barn. He sends out It's Academic. He's been his top trotter all the way through, and he was 2-1 in the elimination last week, Jess. We are getting over double that tonight. He's up there at 9-2 right now.
The 14th race is the Breeders' Crown Open Trot Final, a field of 10. I like Al Raja 1. Gabe puts Logan Park on the top of his ticket. We'll send it back to Acacia and Paul at the desk.
Gabe and Jessica, thank you. Interesting race coming up at the Open Trot. Paul, which direction are you going?
I landed on the 2 It's Academic. I think It's Academic's having a great year, and I think that this horse has plenty left in the tank for tonight off of last week's merry-go-round race that they all had with the one a limb. I guess the question you have to ask yourself is, are they going to let Logan Park get away again and have an open length lead? Because this horse is really fast. So the question is anybody going to trot early with Logan Park?
Do you think that that could be a big advantage for Logan Park given the track conditions?
I think so, and having a race over the track will help. But if they go fast, we've seen this stretch take a lot of starch out of these horses that go fast early on. So it should be an interesting chess match to see how this all shakes out in the early stages.
The Open Trot Breeders' Crown Final coming up next. We'll send it up to Michael Chamberlain for the call.
Al Raja 1 is even money. 2-1 Logan Park. Here they come. They are off. Pretender went off stride prior to the start. It's Southwind Tyrion out for the early lead. Logan Park, and then It's Academic, delayed Hanover to the inside, with Al Raja 1, well-positioned 5th from the outside post. Rattle My Cage is racing next. After that comes Loved by the Masses, and then up on the outside, Take All Comers. Kildare King is 9th, and a long way back to Pretender. The first quarter, 26-2. On the backstretch, and it is Logan Park with the lead for Douglas McNair. Pocketed second is Southwind Tyrion, and then next third is It's Academic. Following that is Delayed Hanover. Al Raja 1 races 5th, and next is Rattle My Cage. Loved by the Masses, trying to move through inside, and then Take All Comers with Kildare King. Half mile 56-2, second quarter 30 seconds. Logan Park leads. Al Raja 1 is first over and chugging up on the outside now. Following the cover is Rattle My Cage. Southwind Tyrion down on the inside. Also inside is It's Academic. Following that, Delayed Hanover and Loved by the Masses with Take All Comers, Kildare King, as they now move into the stretch. Three-quarter time, 1:25-2. 29-second third quarter, Logan Park leads. Al Raja 1 looms on the outside, though. Southwind Tyrion is third. Rattle My Cage angles out fourth. It's Logan Park and Al Raja 1. Southwind Tyrion looking for room. Rattle My Cage here on the outside. And Take All Comers oncoming. Southwind Tyrion through on the inside. Southwind Tyrion and Okes Funstead have won it. Rallying for second was It's Academic. A photo for third, Logan Park and Rattle My Cage, 152-2.
Southwind Tyrion coming up the inside to get the win, and so now that would make Ake Svanstedt 9 for 17 in these Breeders' Crown trots.
It's a great life, isn't it?
Wow.
I mean, and the great part of this was he left for position to ensure that there'd be a little bit of pace to make Logan Park go to the top. They did go soft in that second and third quarter a little bit, but boy, when that rail opened up, Ake's loved that rail at Hoosier this week, and this horse trotted on really well. It's Academic, I thought, also ran well into feet, just ended up closing too late, and I wonder if the other Ake horse, the 10, at a huge number that I talked about with first-time Lasix, got up for third at a
I think he did.
Yeah.
I think he did at a big price. The fact of the matter is, and yes, does look like the 10 got up for third. It's been a tremendous weekend for the Svanstedt team.
Yeah, they're great with their trotting horse. Look, he's so happy with himself. He's proud of himself right there. He's covered in mud, but he's happy. He knew he was celebrating before the wire came. You got to love Ake. You really do. It's great when you're having fun out there.
Celebrating before they even come to the finish line. Gabe, and we talked about that stat. Ake has just been absolutely dominant in the trotting divisions.
Yes, he has. You can see he doesn't usually show a lot of emotion on the track, but as you guys said, he was happy to ring this one up for the home team there. He was quite emotional crossing the line here with the Southwind Tyrion. Guys, the fractions were not overly taxing for Logan Park. In fact, he was at a 3/4 in 125 and 2. Last week, he was in 3/4 in 124 and 1. So this was 1 second and 1/5 slower. That equates to about 6 lengths slower. But he still got tired at the end of it. I think we started after asking, are the conditions playing into how the track is racing right now? We saw a couple of races ago, the big favorite Grace Hill was the lead. She stopped. Of course, last race, Confederate got by the front end easy, and Logan Park well rated. He tired of the front as well. So I'm starting to wonder if the sloppy conditions are playing into how this track is working out here for the last several events here on the Breeders' Crown card. Unfortunately for Logan Park, he did tire, but Southwind Tyrion, he got out of the gate, he got that position, he got the track, draft along there, and when the stretch opened up, he just exploded up the inside there, so hats off. He's off at a good price here, 6-1. Team Svanstedt rolled me here. Southwind Tyrion now a winner of half of his career starts, guys, 12 of 24 as he takes the Breeders' Crown Open Trot.
Southwind Tyrion with the victory, as Gabe mentioned. Some really interesting points about how the track could potentially be playing with the wet weather. You see Ake having to towel off. I'm sure he took quite a bit of that kickback and able to come up the rail with that effort. But it is something to keep an eye on and to consider, especially when moving forward with these horses.
For sure. And in the case of the middle half, as Gabe mentioned, it was not taxing for Logan Park. That middle half was 59 seconds going from past the quarter to 3/4. So, and in the case of Al Raja 1, that horse was just first over and out for way too long. And by the time they got to the top of the stretch, there was nothing left there. But make no mistake about it, this is a good horse that Ake trains and got the job done. And he ran third with his biggest price as well. So not a bad race for the Svanstedt Bard.
Southwind Tyrion, the Open Trot Breeders' Crown winner. But we're not done with the Breeders' Crown action. Tattoo Artist and Buy the Missile are still to come in the open pace. More on that after this.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
The Racing is fast and exciting at the picturesque Woodbine and Woodbine Mohawk Park racetracks in Ontario, Canada. Woodbine Standardbred, home of the Pepsi North America Cup, a summer classic.
Pebble Beach in Iran.
And Woodbine Thoroughbred, home of the historic King's Plate.
But the mighty filly has devastated them.
Full fields, exotic wagers, iconic events. Play Woodbine Thoroughbred and Woodbine Standardbred today at your favorite wagering location.
We are athletes. We are drivers. We are caretakers. We are owners. We are trainers. We are fans. We are harness racing.
Of a mile for Bulldog Hanover, and he's over there in 1:20.3. Right there, second is Alleywag Hanover, starting to edge from a pocket, but he'll have to make up 2 on Bulldog Hanover, and Bulldog Hanover pacing out to a 3-length lead now. Back into second, fully extended, is Alleywag Hanover. Tattoo Artist scrambles for racetrack late on the outside third. It is Bulldog Hanover. He is opening up in deep stretch now to a 5-length lead, and it's Bulldog Hanover, a crowning moment on Canadian soil for Bulldog Hanover.
Bulldog Hanover in the 2022 Breeders' Crown Open Pace. Paul, we talked about just how dominant he was in the division and how much he really captured the attention of the public and the media.
Yeah, and I think just the fact that he captured so many people's attention is the main point of it.
It's been a terrific weekend for the Svanstead team. Let's head down to Jessica standing by with Ake.
Thanks, Acacia. Southwind Tyrion takes the Open Trot, 152-2. Aki, you and your team have had just an incredible weekend so far.
Yeah, I think it was the best weekend ever.
Talk about Southwind Tyrion. It was a pretty nice trip you were able to map out with him.
Yeah, my plan was to leave fast and have sit behind Logan Park, and it works out good, but I need to ask him when the gate left. So, but he made it to come to behind the leader.
He was dismissed a little bit as the betters, but he's been putting up some really nice miles this season.
Yeah, he have not raced against the big horses so much, but he have doing good the last 2 races, and so he had top form. So I think maybe he can finish second or third, but he was really good.
Congratulations, not only with him, but on a terrific weekend, Aki.
But you say that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
There you have it. Southwind Tyrion wins the Open Trot Breeders' Crown Final, 152-2. An incredible weekend for Team Svanstead. We'll send it back to you, Acacia.
And Jesse said it's the best weekend ever, and you can certainly understand that. $14 winner here running 1-3. Rattle My Cage at a huge price, 73-1 in third, but Southwind Tyrion as Ake Svanstead and the team pick up another Breeders' Crown victory.
Best weekend ever. Weekends with Ake. That should be like the new feature or something. That
I would watch it.
I would watch it too. I think he's pretty good at it.
Fantastic.
So. He didn't even hear. He was so excited. He didn't even hear Jessica. He was just like, what'd you say?
Celebrating at the wire.
He's already
You love to see it. You love to see it. The celebration's going to be massive, and rightfully so. Huge weekend for the team. As we have one more Breeders' Crown event on the card, and it's the Open Pace, going a mile for the older horses. And you have Tattoo Artist, who has won, what, 7 in a row? He's been so good lately and in such tremendous form.
Yeah, he's been in great form, and you know, I mean, he was parked to the quarter last time, backed it down to a soft half, and you know, never really was threatened after that. He's a little rocket ship. He's going to be tough in here, and he's 3-5 in here. Realistically, so I still think there are a few other ways you can go in here, because a lot of these horses, they step up on big nights and run big races, as we've seen.
See if he can add another one to his resume, as we'll send it over to Gabe, standing by with the connections.
Thanks, Acacia. Standing by with trainer Dr. Ian Moore of Tattoo Artist. And Dr. Moore, talk to us about Tattoo Artist. You know, you've had him throughout his career here, 6 years old now. His career coming to a close, but he's got right at $2.7 million. He's on a tear right now.
Yeah, he certainly is, and he's been an amazing little horse right from the get-go. About 5 years ago, we broke him, I guess, in November in Florida. when he was a yearling. And it's been a long road from there. Chris Ryder had him for a little bit, some of the time there, a couple of years in New Jersey when the coronavirus hit. There's no racing at Mohawk Woodbine where I base in the summertime. And so he spent some time there. But it's very unique for me, and I'm very fortunate and humbled to be able to have said that I started his career with him, and now it looks like I'm going to end his career as well.
Since he's been back in your barn, he's riding a 6-race win streak. Is this as good as he's ever been?
Yeah, he sure is. Seems to just fire last quarter, whatever he feels like, I guess. And but not, you know, he was good as a 2-year-old. He won the super final as a 2-year-old, I think, in Ontario, the Ontario Side Stake. He won the 3-year-old one as well, and he won a lot of big races along the way. So he's been a great horse. The fact that there's no Bulldog Hanover this year certainly helped because he was second to him a lot of times last year.
Yeah, we just took a look back at that replay from last year. A little bittersweet here at the end of his career for you?
A little bit, but all good things come to a close. And, you know, horses racing at that level, it's a little bit rare for them to race as a 6-year-old and still be at the same level. They start to get some wear and tear and issues popping up here and there, just like any, you know, professional athlete. So we try our hardest to keep him good and sound, and when we do that, he rewards us by giving us all he's got.
Well, you've done an excellent job. Best of luck, Tattoo Artist, guys. He's the favorite here in the finale, the $600,000 open pace.
I'm sure the connections of Tattoo Artists and everybody else in this field are saying a good thing there's no Bulldog Hanover in this group this year, but Tattoo Artist has been tremendous in 2023. Dr. Moore has really done a great job with him, and it's great to see him coming into this race in such good form.
Yeah, and at 6 years old, as he said, it's tough to keep them running at their peak form without some little nagging injury popping up or some kind of ouchy moment going on for them. But I mean, this horse just continues to deliver race after race after race. 1-9 here in the Elim, and made easy work of that group. And I mean, not for anything. I mean, I have wear and tear just from walking around. So, and I'm not running a race, so.
And, you know, it's like with any athlete. As you get older, as you have more starts, as you have more events, your body adapts a little bit differently. And it's hard to keep competing at the highest level and for an extended period of time. And so that's why it's even that much more impressive that Tattoo Artist at the age of 6 is doing exactly that. We'll see if he can add another one to his resume in the Breeders' Crown Open Pace. More on that coming up. We have one more Breeders' Crown event to go. Stay with us on America's Day at the Races.
My grandfather instilled in me that there's no such thing as luck. He said luck is where hard work meets opportunity.
The world's greatest harness racing at Meadowlands Racing and Entertainment happens every Friday and Saturday night. Post time is 6:20 p.m. Admission and parking are free. On Saturday, November 25th, over $2.5 million is up for grabs as the best 2-year-olds battle it out in the Fall Final Four and the best trotters and pacers battle in the FanDuel Championships. Plus, check out our FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can legally watch and wager on all the sports action. Visit PlayMeadowlands.com for complete racing and sports wagering information. Must be 21 or older to wager. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Lady Liberty, an iconic sight as we are coming to you live from New York City's racetrack, Aqueduct, as we are ready to wrap up the Belmont at the Big A meet tomorrow on Sunday with Empire Showcase Day. Paul, I always love these days that we do here in New York where we get a chance to highlight the New York breds as we see the Breeders' Crown, kind of every division for the Standard breds. Next week, the Breeders' Cup. This is kind of like a mini Breeders' Cup for the New York breds where it's pretty much every division covered.
I used to love these days when I was growing up and coming here younger. I just love seeing New York breds in action. I'm talking about like the St. Florida Sandys of the world and the Blue Bashes and King Creases and, you know, Carafa when they would meet up a bunch of times. And I even remember Not a Cat But a Llama.
That's right.
Used to battle with them too. So these races are always great. The New York bred program has been, you know, the standard for quite a while now. And it does well, and on days like this, you just love to see everybody come out and run.
And really special to have an opportunity to highlight the New York breeders that do such a wonderful job, and really excited to have a chance to see all of those New York breds in the spotlight tomorrow. You can play all of the action with Naira Bets. Sign up, get started at nairabets.com and get a $25 free bet plus a $200 deposit match bonus. Use promo code CUP25. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get your free $25 bet and $200 deposit match bonus. Just one more Breeders' Crown event to go. It is the Open Pace, going a mile in the nightcap race 15 this evening, as it's been a lot of fun. We've seen some really impressive performances so far. As far as for me, and I know we still have one to go, but seeing Confederate really was kind of the cherry on the top of the evening.
Yeah, Confederate was the big name star of the weekend. It was the big name coming in, but there were a bunch of performances that you could look back on that were great. I mean, all of us thought somebody like Sylvia Hanover was beaten, you know, pretty badly as they turned for home and just found another gear. And so many track records were matched and beaten, and stakes records, and it's really cool when you see that, and you see not only the horses perform at their top level, but all the horsemen support it, and the fans that have been there, and the bettors that are wagering on the product as well, because they're the ones that keep it going in the game.
Couldn't agree more. So horses are getting ready to head out for the Open Pace, trying to stay dry at the moment as we have had some rain over there at Harris-Hoosier Park, dealing with the sloppy main track, sloppy conditions. That was a look at By the Missile. There's Tattoo Artist currently 3-5 as he has been in tremendous form so far and looking to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing that you'd like to see right now, they're all just well-behaved and taking it in and just hanging out, just waiting for the call
Which you would
to
expect
get ready.
of the older horses at this stage.
Yeah, for sure, 100%, especially at their age. They know the game. They know when it's time. They know when business is about to pick up. So soon enough, they'll be out there.
Well, By the Missile finished ahead of Allywag Hanover in the Elim. We'll take a look at the performance from those two back last week coming into this. By the Missile, a horse that always shows up, and you have the ever-dangerous team of Ron Burke and Yannick Gingras.
You know, By the Missile kind of three-hole pop to the top, and it turned out to be a quick half and pace in the overall perspective of the race. Yannick said he didn't want a slow middle half. He knew that a horse like By the Missile could go, and, you know, when he pressed the button, off he went, and that's what they did. He came home in 26 flat, got his 9th win of the season. And Tattoo Artist, I mean, you know, there's a horse, too, that's looking good, and Allywag Hanover is a horse that now is, you know, got post number 10 tonight, second tier. He benefited from that fast pace to come first over in the Elim that we saw there. So less than a length he was beaten, but he just has no luck. He was the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby champion, though. So at the end of the day, he does have races that fit over this track to get the job done. And Tattoo Artist, I think, is the big name, you know, out of this grouping of three here that's going to have something to say about the finish of the race.
There is By the Missile, and that's actually a great shot. You can get a look at the equipment that they wear, and when you say pull plugs or pop the plugs, you can see kind of those earplugs that he has in there, really beautifully demonstrated in that shot.
Yeah, and what it's meant to do is just to keep them focused, keep the noise out of them while they're racing, but when the racing comes, pop the plugs, just to make sure they hear everything that's going on around them, to hear somebody coming up on the outside of them. I think somebody referenced it earlier. I think it was Nancy Tactor referenced it earlier, or Yannick Gingras mentioned it earlier to Nancy Tactor about popping the plugs so that way they heard the horse coming on the outside of them. And it's important because sometimes when they're battling, they're focused on just, you know, straight tunnel vision, straight ahead, and sometimes they don't hear the horse coming up on the outside of them.
And horses really do react to sound more than anything. And so as far as their senses are concerned, trying to muffle the sound, as you'll see earplugs, cotton, hood, all of those types of equipment employed in any kind of racing really to help keep a horse settled, often keep them quiet, muffle out the sound. And I think it's interesting in harness racing when you'll see them pop the plugs, as you said, hear the competition coming to them.
Yeah, they pull them out. And sometimes I think that they hear a little bit more as well with the harness racing because you have the cart and you also have other sounds that are going on and the pops of the sounds. And they're not too much in the pack like you are in thoroughbreds where you have that pack mentality.
Meeting the field for the open pace, starting off with the one Luz Pearlman.
So the good news for Lou is that he drew the rail for the final. The bad news is that he's not too fast away from the gate. So he's going to be coming from off the pace in here.
32-1 at a big price. Next will be a horse we were just discussing, By the Missile.
I like this guy on top. I like the way he came home to get that 9th win of the season last time out. We'll see if he wants to push the envelope early with his main rival right to the outside of him.
Speaking of that rival, he's 4-5 and looking to make it 8 in a row. Here's Tattoo Artist.
The good part about his race was he was parked to the quarter and then he backed it down a little bit. You know, never really was threatened. He's such an easy horse to drive, so you could change your mind or tactics with him. That's what makes him dangerous. Long stretch here, just let him pace late instead of too early.
Versatility, always a very dangerous weapon. Here's the 4, Ponda Warrior.
Yeah, he's the local hero. You know, he mixed it up, got to the top briefly in the limb before By the Missile took over. Maybe a little better luck if he can get into the outer flow tonight. He's shown he could run with these on big nights, especially on his home turf. He's 12-1 if you like him.
Next will be a Buckabet Hanover, not the most wins in the last year.
And he got a nice second over trip, flipped that cover, and rallied to be a well-beaten second behind Tattoo Artist.
There's Charlie May.
I love him, my Charlie. He made that first over-feudal move at Tattoo Artist last week before giving it up. We've seen on big nights he can win big races. I wouldn't count him out here at 9-1.
7, Tarasi.
Yeah, set up shop at the back of the pack last week. Came widest to run fourth. Maybe he'll get a little more pace to run at tonight. He's always had bad luck at the draws, though. He's outside again.
Drawn to the outside again, as is this guy, Chase Hanover.
So Chase Hanover's a long shot who never left the pylons. Again, it's a refrain that we've been using a lot. And that's what they've done until mid-stretch when Ponda Warrior backed him up a little bit. Wasn't really threatening the top horses, though.
And at the outside, there is Line Drive Hanover.
He was inside pretty much for the journey last week. He did get up to slide up inside when Charlie May made that first move. He, like others, big price in here against some of these would have to step up their game.
He snuck by me. There's Chase Hanover on the board, who we talked about.
Tony Hall in the bike there. Good driver Virgil Morgan, we know can win races.
And there's a Buckabet Hanover who skipped the post parade. He's coming back at this point, but we talked about his credentials. He is 22-1 on the board.
He's got a nice post in here tonight to make one run and try to score a piece of the pie in here against some of the bigger names.
And just one more should be. Yes, there he is, Allywag Hanover.
Yeah, he was holding back on us. He showed up a little bit late. Todd McCarthy in the bike for Brett Pelling here. He was one who benefited from the faster pace last week, came running first over. As I said, he's won the Hoosier Park Pacing Derby Championship. We'll see what kind of trip he can work out from the second tier. He'll get a helmet to race off of tonight, so that should help.
One more event to go in the Breeders' Crown Open Pace. Let's check in with Gabe and Jessica.
Thanks, Acacia. You know, Gabe, last year we were so spoiled with Bulldog Hanover and everything he did for the sport of harness racing. But there's another guy in town, and that's Tattoo Artist. He was a runner-up to him last year at Woodbine Mohawk Park. He's riding, I think, a 7 or 8 race win streak coming into this final here tonight. The last time we saw him and By the Missile team up, that was in the Canadian Pacing Derby up at Woodbine Mohawk Park, where By the Missile got beat by Tattoo Artist when he was launched in the stretch.
Yeah, and this is just a good field top to bottom, too, Jess. We've got 10 here. The combined earnings north of $12 million. I mean, this is a blockbuster lineup. Tattoo Artist, he is a headliner. We all know that. He's odds on here. You know, what concerns me a little bit, Jess, as we watch the weather sort of deteriorate the track conditions, you know, I think Tattoo Artist is going to end up on the lead at some point here. You know, if he does, can he overcome a little bit of a track bias to get it done? If anyone can, it's him. But we'll see. You know, that does concern me a little bit to take an odds-on price, you know, when we've seen that be the case here over the last few races.
You talked to Dr. Ian Moore earlier on in the card, and, you know, he's just such a cool little horse. He had him and he broke him, sent him to Chris Ryder. Earlier on in the season, he was missing that punch-through sort of effort at the end of the mile. They added Lasix to him, and now he's a really nice, versatile horse. Louis Waugh is undefeated behind him.
Yeah, he has. He's won, I believe, 6 in a row with the bike behind Tattoo Artist. You know, and it's a little bittersweet, I think, for the connections because he's about to move on to his next career as a stallion. He's going to be a very prominent stallion, to my mind, in the sport. If he wins this race tonight, Jess, how good has Tattoo Artist been over his racing seasons? He's going to be $500 shy of $3 million in career earnings. So it's been quite a career. It's time, I think, you know, once you get to a certain age, but, you know, he's still at the very top of his game right now. So we'll see if Tattoo Artist can step up here and get it done.
A horse who is inside by the missile, Yannick and Ronnie teaming up here. He was an elimination winner as well, and he was really strong down at the Red Mile. He paced in 47-4 home, 26-1, as easy as I've seen a horse pace home like that.
Yes, he was very good, and ideally he would like to get that tracking trip behind Tattoo Artist. If he could somehow end up on his back, draft along, that's exactly where driver Yannick Gingras would like to be. By the missile, one of 2 4-year-olds in this race, Jess. It's 4-year-olds and up. It's always a tough transition. And why is it a tough transition? Because when you're 2-year-olds, you race against 2-year-olds. When you're 3, you race against 3-year-olds. But when you turn 4, all of a sudden you have to race against 4-year-olds and up. So it's really his first year against age competition, we'll call it. He's 9 of 13. He's made $500,000. So even for most horses, it's a very difficult transition. But it's not been too tough on By the Missile there with a big bankroll. He's right now a solidified second choice.
You know, we saw Tactical Approach win on a post 10 earlier on in the night. Allywag Hanover will have to do it from post 10. Been a bit of an up and down season for him. Unfortunately, he won the Hoosier Park Pace Derby here. Thought his elimination was really nice.
Yeah, he's been very good here in the past. He was actually the second choice in the Breeders' Crown last year up at Woodbine at Mohawk Park. He finished 3rd there to Bulldog Hanover, but Allywag has been a horse for the course here at Hoosier Park. He's got the second here. He'll have to negotiate a little traffic there, but a good price. He's up there double digits.
It is going to be a shootout of a race, I believe, here, Gabe, for the Breeders' Crown Open Pace Final. A full field of 10. We'll send it up to Michael Chamberlain for the call.
Diamond Creek starting gate is in motion for race 15. 3-5 on Tattoo Artist. 2-1 on By the Missile. Here they come. They are off. Sharp start from the outside post for Chase H. Hanover, who wants and gets the early lead. Charlie May into second, and then By the Missile and Tattoo Artist. After that, it's Luz Pearlman, who is 5th, moving on to the first turn. And then Allywag Hanover 6th. Ponda Warrior races 7th. Next is a Buckabet Hanover with Torasi and Line Drive Hanover the trailer. First quarter, 25-4. To the back stretch, they are 3 across the track as By the Missile and Tattoo Artist continue to be glued to each other, and now Tattoo Artist takes the lead. By the Missile 2nd, Charlie May 3rd. Chase H. Hanover is followed by Luz Pearlman, Allywag Hanover next, and then Ponda Warrior 7th. Moving through at the inside, Torasi, a Buckabet Hanover, and the trailer is Line Drive Hanover. 53-2 for the half. Moving on to the second turn. 4-5 favorite, Tattoo Artist with the lead. By the Missile, Luz Pearlman is moving nicely first over. Allywag Hanover is second over. And then to the inside comes Charlie May. Ponda Warrior trying to get going. 3/4 time, 1:21-4. Tattoo Artist with the lead. Luz Pearlman on the outside. By the Missile looking for racing room. Then on the outside is Allywag Hanover. On the far outside trying to move up is a Buckabet Hanover. It is still Tattoo Artist holding on to this lead tenaciously. By the Missile between horses now comes on. It's By the Missile. By the Missile has won it. Up for second was Luz Pearlman. Tattoo Artist was 3rd. Close for 4th with a Buckabet Hanover and Allywag Hanover, 148 flat.
The younger 4-year-old By the Missile able to run down the elder statesman tattoo artist, making it a thriller in the open pace with some very logical and talented horses.
Yeah, and they got hot and heavy early mixing it up. There was a lot of action going to that quarter. They were 3 wide there, and By the Missile kind of took the worst of it at the beginning, being in between horses, but Tattoo Artist went to the top, and when they came down the lane, By the Missile just had another gear. So a nice run and a nice finish for By the Missile for the Burke Barn and Yannick Gingras up. And congratulations to Gabe, who hit his pick 5, and this was my top choice as well.
Well done, Gabe, and well done you with the call with By the Missile. Impressive handicapping today as well. By the Missile. Gabe, congratulations on the hit with the pick 5, and By the Missile, a nice effort to close out the Breeders' Crown Day.
You know, it really was, guys. What a night of racing we've had here. But I mentioned it, I had to get to this one. I thought driver Yannick Gingras would want to be on the back of Tattoo Artist Louis Waugh. That's just the way it worked out. You saw they had to go a lot to make the lead there. 3 wide early battling, but that perfect trip paid off. I think it took just enough out of Tattoo Artist to get a beat, but an incredible effort here from By the Missile to step up and get it done here as a second choice.
And Gabe, tremendous insight from you and from Jessica all night long. And as you said, it's been a great 2 days of racing for the Breeders' Crown. What was the performance that really stands out for you?
You know what, Confederate, guys. I mean, he was a headliner come again, and that was just an explosive effort from him. He really stamped himself as the horse of the year of the sport. Now, last night, if we back up, I thought Carl was sensational as well. He'll be your Hamiltonian favorite next summer. But really, these championship events, year in and year out, guys, they provide so many sensational performances. Sylvia Hanover tonight, she looked completely beaten at the top of the stretch. She found a way to dig in and get it done. So time after time, we've just seen some stellar performances here, as we typically do at these year-end championship events.
It's been a lot of fun. Gabe, thank you so much. And as mentioned, thank you for all the great insight. And we look forward to seeing you on our next show somewhere down the line.
We have my pleasure, guys. It's been great. Hopefully we'll get some Winter Circle reaction here for you. And it's really been a lot of fun for the entire year, for that matter. But, of course, it all comes down to the Breeders' Crown.
It certainly does, and the stars delivered tonight as was expected. They lived up to the billing, and here we see By the Missile making his way into the winner's circle after the open pace. Prices, reactions, and more when we come back. We're not going to break as yet. In the open pace, By the Missile staying here for just a moment. By the Missile able to run down Tattoo Artist Ron Burke and Yannick Gingras teaming up once again. Let's head down to the winner's circle with Jessica.
Thanks, Acacia. Standing by, winning driver Yannick Gingras. Yannick, walk me through the trip. Quick opening fractions there. You opted to keep on moving and then let Tattoo Artist kind of take control after that.
Yeah, honestly, I thought it was going to be a little easier than that going to the first turn. Louis was was some pushing and shoving there in the first turn, but I wanted to sit behind him. Obviously, he's the horse to beat. Luckily we got that trip.
One of 2 4-year-olds in this race, and sometimes it's a little bit tough for those 4-year-olds to face open company, but he seemed to do it pretty well this season.
Yeah, he did, and they did a great job because he got really sick in the spring, and they had to give him a little time off, and they weren't even sure if he was going to make it or not. So all the credit to the Berg Brigade. They were able to not only bring him back, but bring him back to top shape.
A couple of Breeders' Crowns on the weekend. What does it mean to you to win one of these?
Oh, it means a lot, obviously. Last couple of years, and I was knocking on the door, not winning. Before that, it was easy almost. You're winning 2-3 a year. It's just like 2 is like a normal year, So after a couple dry years, it feels really good.
Congratulations, nice job.
Thank you very much.
There you have it. By the Missile takes the open pace Breeders' Crown final for the Burke Brigade. Yannick Gingras. We'll send it back to you, Acacia.
Jessica, thank you. Great to hear from Yannick and Jess still with us. You two always bringing us such great information and bringing us along throughout all of these special nights, braving the weather, braving the elements today as well. Jess, what were some of the highlights for you for Breeders' Crown weekend?
I've always been a fan of By the Missile. I really like to see him get a big signature win at the end of the night. I think it's been a great couple of nights of racing. Carl last night was tremendous, but I'm going to go with Sylvia Hanover. I think she's just a freak of nature. She breathes a different type of air. I mean, when she was coming off of that far turn, I thought she was done. She let the leader get away from her, and then she came back to fight really hard at the end of the mile. She's a really special filly, and I'm really hoping they bring her back as a 4-year-old next year.
So are we. Jess, thank you so much. Thank you for all of the hard work and all of the insight and information as we're taking a look at Sylvia Hanover a little bit earlier on the card today, Paul. She was, as Jess mentioned, looked like she was beaten. This is the 3-year-old filly's Pacers, and all of a sudden comes back able to get the win. I thought, for me, this was one of the most exciting performances.
Yeah, I was ultra impressed with this run simply because, as we said before, she's a very psychological horse. When she wants to run, she'll run, and she looked beat. And guess what? Once again, we were wrong. She got her nose down on the line like a true champ does. So that was a good effort by her.
Certainly a star, and yes, hopefully we will get a chance to see her back next year. But the Breeders' Crown, it's been sensational, Paul. Great working with you as always.
Always fun.
Thanks for joining us tonight and last night as well for coverage of the Breeders' Crown. The Stars really did live up to all of that big billing. We saw some big performances, as mentioned. Sylvia Hanover, she came flying late, just in the nick of time to get the win. The 3-year-old filly's Pace. Then Tactical Approach and the 3-year-old Trot. He stepped forward from the second tier, and Confederate. What can be said about him? He certainly is a star. We'll be back with American Today at the races for Empire Showcase Day tomorrow at 12:30 p.m.
At Cowpokes, find out why we wear the brand.
Premier Acres, located in northern Indiana, a premier breeding farm with state-of-the-art facilities and a team of dedicated caretakers. An impressive roster with some of the leading sires, including Temporal Hanover, Best in Show, Freaky Feet Pete, and more. Premier Acres, where winners are bred.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.